awareness. Christ almighty.
I keep checking back on it and reading it again because it's just making my day. That's fucking cool. I hope that tweet bang.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. I'm hoping we will be live because that's the whole point of it. We are on transfer deadline day. We've had a few problems tonight with internet and all that jazz. And also, Drawty was doing it, but then he's had to go. So hopefully the internet is working tonight for you. We'll surely get some confirmation on that at the moment. But also, it's looking like we will be signing Ighalo. And that's the sort of breaking news that we've got for you. £300,000 a week he is earning at. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. I think we might be a little bit slow with my stream, but we're working. So yeah, it looks like we're going to get Ighalo to Manchester United. I'm going to keep the banter bit back for a moment, or if anybody hasn't seen my tweet, this will make you laugh. We were just having a good old laugh about this, so I'll just go to the. Should I do it off the tweet or should I do it off the website? Okay. So there's a good website called whoscored.com, and I was saying to the lads how I use this quite a lot, so you can sort of see what somebody's good at. And if you're looking at someone like a Bruno Fernandes, it will say under his strengths, passing's good, shooting's good, carrying the ball's good, and he might have one weakness. This is maybe his defensive side of things. So I thought I'll go and have a look at Ighalo, see what his characteristics and strengths are, and we just were creasing about laughing because I've never seen anything like it in my life. So he's got a strength. His strength is finishing, right? That's his strength. His weaknesses, and there is a list, unfortunately: weak at defensive contribution, weak at passing, weak at aerial duels, weak at offside awareness, and very weak at holding on to the ball. And then his style of play. I mean, who wants this style of play? You know, what's your style of play? Oh, he's a really tricky winger. He's great at shooting, or flair player, tenacity. Ighalo's style of play gets fouled often. I mean, that's not a style of play. Indirect set piece threat, and also, again, a bit more with the negative. This is his style of play. Does not dive into tackles. I mean, gets fouled often and doesn't dive into tackles is his style of play. I mean, God, he's just been bantered by Who Scored. But you know, who knows? He might be. We might look at that in May, and he might be. You know, he might have a few strengths. But that is official. I've tweeted it as well. Like, I was genuinely looking around. We all were, to find out little bits about him now. And don't look at Ighalo on whoscored.com because you'll start crying that we're going to pay $100,000 a week for someone like that.
As we said before, he's not even a free kick threat. He's an indirect free kick threat. I
know, it's like, you know, I almost expected to be on that long list of weaknesses, tying his shoelaces or something like that. It's just staying on side is a weakness for him, which, to be fair, some strikers do struggle with that. But yeah, what if Ighalo brings the coronavirus and infects the whole squad? Wouldn't that be our luck? Says Adam Jones. Well, I don't think there's any need to be that concerned about it, but
is that going to be one of his weaknesses on Who Scored next?
Yeah, spreads the coronavirus. Yeah, but yeah, and in seriousness though, he hasn't played a match since the start of December, I think we said. He's 6'2". That's not a weakness. Unfortunately, that's not a weakness. He's medium quick. I think he's actually quite good at dribbling, although not according to Who Scored, who obviously, whoever edits that page, it's like a Ighalo slept with their wife or something, isn't it? It's just like, it's the worst Who Scored page I've ever seen. He does turn 31 in the summer, so any talk of it being a loan to buy would concern me, to be honest, lads.
I'd agree with that. I think, as you said, it shouldn't be a loan to buy. It should be a loan to F off, because he is 31 in June, did you say?
Yeah.
So he's getting on a bit now, and of course, it's not the kind of player that we want to see at Manchester United. Short term, could he do us some help? Maybe. We can talk about that as well. But long term, he shouldn't be at the club for any longer than 6 months.
Can I also just add in here the Who Scored characteristics about being weak at holding the ball, offside awareness, aerial duels, passing, getting fouled often, does not dive into tackles. This is based on the Chinese league. This is not based This is not based on the Premier League. This is based on the Chinese league. He's crap at holding on to the ball, staying onside, aerial duel. Without being racially stereotypical here, he's 6'2" in the Chinese league, and his weakness is aerial duels. Like, I think most Chinese people are not over 6 foot, are they? So, but in fact, you don't even need to be Chinese. I'm 6 foot. Like anybody, if you're 6'2", basically what I'm trying to say is you should be good in the air. And he's down as weak in the air. And Smarter Scout said he was weak in the air as well. So, it is a signing that's matched of desperation, isn't it?
Yeah, it really
he
does.
Sounds like a massive, he sounds like a goal hanger. That's what he sounds like.
Oh, hang on, I can't stay on the side, which is always good.
Maybe in the Chinese league.
Yeah, it is desperation, but that's where we're at. We're in desperate situation. Obviously, Ollie's gone, right, I want a striker. And they've gone all out on the last day of the window for some strange reason. We've not thought about it before. He's called up Ed and said we need a striker. And Ed's like, bollocks, I forgot. And now we're getting Ighalo. And we've got to make the most of it. If it's happening, we back him. And we back him because he's going to bring something different to our up-front unit that we haven't got. And as I said before, if he brings 5 to 7 points to this team, that could be the difference between fifth and fourth, getting in the Champions League, and then moving on up and forward. So, we'll take the positives if it happens, but it is still embarrassing.
Has he actually signed yet?
Don't know, I don't think so. But as I said, we were in for Haaland, Erling Haaland a few weeks ago. Youth, striker extraordinaire, and now, Ighalo. We've really stooped off in the last 3 weeks, haven't we?
We've fallen dramatically, haven't we?
Yeah.
The biggest talent, the biggest young talent in Europe, to the guy who can't win headers in the Chinese league. What's the crack?
What's the crap?
Oh no!
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't think it's one of those sort of deals you want to sort of slip in through the back door, don't you? You don't want anyone to know about it. It's like, oh, hello, yes, he's just. It's not
what do you reckon the announcement video is going to be like, Mark? Do you reckon they're going to be spending a fortune on this bad boy? Do you reckon?
I don't know. What do you think?
It's just going to be him holding up a shirt, isn't it? It's going to be a picture of him holding up a shirt. Bruno Fernandes gets Spielberg in to produce his, and he's just going to be there with a half scarf.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, listen, it shouldn't be. And also, you know what? This logic is pretty much flawed, right? But so many signings we've got. Oh, he's gonna work out, and they never. Often they haven't done. When we signed Pogba, Mkhitaryan, Eric Bailly, we thought, oh, fantastic, And so maybe with Ighalo, we don't really want him, but he might surprise us. He might surprise us, chip in with a few goals, as you said, and take it from there.
Well, a lot of people are saying he's agreed terms, so it's looking like it's going to be done.
It's agreed terms. That's what Romano said, Fabrizio.
Yeah, it's looking done.
Yeah, Sky and Italy. Manchester United reached agreement with Ighalo over a 6-month loan deal from Shanghai Shanghai, is it? Ravel Morrison's moved to Middlesbrough as well.
Yeah, on loan.
That guy's moved around so much. Yeah, he was such a young talent at Manchester United, wasn't he? It just didn't work out for him. He's
no Ighalo.
And
he's no Ighalo.
No, he's no Ighalo. He's flattered to deceive, and I wish him all the best at Middlesbrough because there was high hopes for him at one time.
Yeah, well, I think he's wasted his talent, hasn't he? Let's be honest. He has wasted his talent. And
yes, yeah, there was reports about his attitude, which is a shame, really. But attitude means as much as if you've got the best skill in the world, if you haven't got the attitude to apply it, then things can go wrong for you. So it means a lot.
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, isn't it? It's that sort of thing.
So a bit of a summary,
because yeah, exactly.
A lot of people will be tuning in about Ighalo. Ighalo has signed for Manchester United. Well, he's agreed terms. I think the only final thing that needs to be done is to get him to get the club to agree to it in China. So Ighalo, 31 in June, 6-month deal. Hopefully it's not a loan to buy because you know, that would be embarrassing. I mean, there is an embarrassing element to this, of course. Look, you know, he is unknown. I mean, we're judging him on a talent that was 4 years ago he played at Watford, and he had a decent season for Watford, and then it fell away. £300,000 a week is apparently is what he was on in China, and we're going to pay him £100,000 a week, which is a lot. £100,000 a week is a lot of money, you know, for somebody of that quality. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting how we as a fan, a fan base, receive him, because, like I say, it doesn't fit in with what Ole Gunnar Solskjær is meant to be doing, which is building for the future. It's really odd. I've got to say, I find the signing. I'd rather have him than nothing. I definitely would say that. But it's also a really odd signing, because it's such a... It's like we've got rid of Deadwood. Like, we have got rid of Deadwood, and then we've brought a striker in who basically is... You know, you sort of wonder why Sanchez was loaned out, Paul, really. Why loan Sanchez out and then in January bring Ighalo in? It doesn't... I felt that getting rid of Sanchez was right, because he's the wrong age and the wrong sort of player for us, and the Italian league would suit him better. But then we bring in someone like Ighalo. And I know it's only a loan deal, but Get French Football News is reporting it's done. I think it pretty much is done, really.
I think with Ighalo,
yeah, they're quite good.
He just brings something different, doesn't he? Like Alexis Sanchez, we've got. I mean, he lost half a yard towards the end, didn't he? But you know, we've got that sort of tricky small winger that can, you know, pick a pass or whatever. But with Ighalo, we don't really have anyone since Zlatan and Fellaini that can really get the noggin on it. I know you said his heading's bad, but you know, we don't really have a unit in the team at the moment. So I think, you know, that's the argument towards why we're bringing him in.
I think it's going to be very interesting. A lot of people saying he'll bring a better pace. His attributes, from what I remember, are that I don't think he's particularly good in the air. His finishing is good when he's in a run, but that in his last bit of Watford, he sort of fell away a bit. He's quite strong, as Paul said, and he's not particularly bad on the ball. I don't think he's going to be... It's hard, isn't it? Because some people say that United are a mid-table team, and I don't think we are a mid-table team. I think we deserve to be where we are. Ighalo is a player that I think if he was playing up front for Everton, he wouldn't get 20 goals. So, yeah, it's a funny one with him, and I'm not too sure about it.
So
he's going to start games.
Yeah,
this is the
I
thing.
think
He
so.
will start games.
It's interesting, actually. I've just been sent... Let's have a look.
Can you hear Mark still or not? Or
Yeah, you should be able to hear me.
Oh yeah, sorry. I thought you said you just.
And I've just been sent something by somebody. Okay, let's have a look. Ighalo, I know he's your boy, but no. No. So.
Well, then, lads, I'm gonna head out.
Right, cheers, mate.
Pal, I'll speak to you all soon, and obviously I'll be on Twitter and that, so hopefully we get Ighalo over the line.
Yeah,
Ighalo
cheers,
in.
Sander. Cheers, mate. Thanks for coming on.
It's all right, lads. I'll speak to you soon.
Ighalo in. Cheers, pal.
Ighalo in.
Catches.
Right.
It's about wages, isn't it, with Ighalo? Because he's on so much money in China. I suppose they've got to subsidise his wages for us to do it. But I'm Nigerian and I've followed him for a long time. He's very greedy and he's very low game intelligence. However, he's very determined and hungry for goals, says the orderly man. Well, that's probably one of the most common sense.
Fit right in then.
Yeah, tweets we've had, messages we've had, because I don't profess to know a lot about Ighalo, but I probably, from what I remember of him, I would have said that. I think when he was hot, and when he's not, he's not. I think he's a handful sort of player. Yeah, I mean, effectively, I think what we're going to have to do with the team with Ighalo is get him to play number 9 and then put Martial on the left. That's what we were saying before, Paul, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he'll play more than people think, you know.
But low game intelligence, you know?
Yeah.
Low game intelligence is not what we're looking for. If you're a big unit of a striker and you're 30 years old, maybe lost a yard of pace, You want game intelligence, so you know what to do when you have the ball, rather than be greedy and not know what to do with it, because that won't help anybody else around him. And we're looking for assistance of people around him so they can score goals. So, that sort of comment is very disappointing, to be honest, but I believe to be true, yeah, for sure.
I'm going to pop on to the other transfer deadline stream in a minute, Paul. Is it all right if I just leave you chatting away on here with people?
Yes, mate, of course.
All right, I'll mute it and then I'll leave you to it for a minute.
Okay, so what we're saying about Ighalo, in terms of, let's give it a signing out of 10 for getting him in over the line. Not what the chances are, actually how good he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be very good, to be honest. But is he better than nothing? Will he score those extra couple of goals that we need to get us extra couple of points to be in the Champions League? I could hear that. I don't know what's going on there. But, yeah, I don't think the scores are going to be very high. To be honest, they're better than I thought they were going to be. We're getting 5s, 8s. George Cole giving it a sarcastic 10. I don't think... Sorry, guy. Mark's not quite as muted as I thought he was going to be. I'll just let him crack on. And sorry, guys, if there's dead sound, but my internet went down a little bit. We're not looking very good for Ighalo, but Ighalo, I think he is not going to be what we're looking for, but he fills a hole. He's going to be a striker that we need, not something that we want. So we're going to have to be positive about what we get. And that's about it. I find it difficult. Are you back, Mark? So yeah, it could have been better. Martins was he was available. Everybody else was much of a muchness. Most of the other strikers that were available were very similar to Ighalo's attributes, which obviously on Who Scored aren't fantastic. They're actually hilarious. But we weren't ever going to get anybody good on the last day of the transfer window. We were never going to sign anybody permanent. No one wants to make a loan on the last day. And if they do, they're players they don't want anymore. So if it's a player most people don't want, then, we're here to pick up the dregs. And Ighalo is, unfortunately, it's bottom of the pile, guys. Let's face it.
Sorry, Paul, I'm back now. I realised you could probably hear me and they couldn't hear me, which was probably quite irritating for you.
Yeah.
Apparently...
Well, I didn't know whether you could hear me or I could hear talking, so there's probably a lot of dead air. So
they
I
can't hear me,
apologise to anyone who couldn't hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got confusing, mate, but no dramas.
What I was going to say is that I've just been on the transfer deadline stream on Ball Street, which the link is in the video description. It's a general transfer deadline, so they wanted me to go on to talk about Ighalo, and apparently he has got a song. It goes to the Spandau Ballet song Gold, and I was trying to think, Ighalo, Gold, always believe. I don't know how it would work, but it goes to the song Gold by Spandau Ballet, which is gold, gold, always believe in your soul. But I don't know how you do that with Ighalo. So he has got a song, which actually he's got so very few strengths on Who Scored. Maybe they should put that on there. Joe Dawson says, I don't think Sanchez as a false nine is bad for a year. Gives the Glazers a year to save up and invest in a potential world-class player. Zayn Miassi, Paul, I've never heard of him. Why did you sell Lukaku? At least he scored goals even though he was a BTEC Andy Cole. And MUFC for Life says, I genuinely think he'll score about 5 to 10 goals. He's just not what we want. It's like signing Closer or Inzaghi in their prime, but ending up with Heskey. I mean, yeah, you know what, actually? You know what, Paul? When you do look at it, Ighalo, you are gold. I still can't do it. It is weird, isn't it? When you look at Manchester United as an evolution under Ole Gunnar Solskjær, and you sort of think, well, we started off with Lukaku and Sanchez, we got rid of them, and now we've brought Ighalo in January. It's sort of like short-term pain for long-term gain, hopefully, but it doesn't make much sense, and it will only add to the conspiracy theory that Pochettino is coming in May.
It just, I've tried to steer clear of this bigger picture thing because I'm just confused about the whole entirety of it in terms of direction. You know, the talk coming out of Man United in terms of our new structure for recruitment, our moving forward with youth, and you know, we've got a different direction of playing because we only want players who want to be here for the long term. And then we sign Ighalo on the last day of the season. I understand why we're doing it, but it goes against the grain of everything that's coming out of United, which is why I'm always frustrated when they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. So what are we meant to believe? You know, actions or words?
Exactly.
Actions speak louder than words, don't they? So they say. That's the saying. But it just it's complete confusion sometimes. I can see where we're going, and then we take a complete detour, which just throws you all over the place. And it's frustrating.
I think what we have to do is, you know, we have to take I mean, look, you could look at it and say, Manchester United, Pochettino, if he's coming, it makes sense to get Fernandes because it's a player he wanted, and it makes sense to get somebody on loan because, and maybe that's why Manchester, you know, you could flip it. I know United were only looking for loans this month, so why are they only looking for loans? Because it's nothing to commit to, is it? If you buy players, you're committing to your new manager, I suppose. So you could look at it like that. But I think if it's part of what I'm trying to say in a very bad way, if it's part of Ollie's strategy, Paul, I think you were saying this as well, it's hard to understand it because he always talks about the future. He always talks about a young team. He always talks about building. And the fact is, by the time Ighalo goes, which will be May, Ollie will have been here for coming up for 18 months. So it would be August by the start of the next season. It'd have been 18 months here, and that's a lot of managers don't survive that. So I'm just wondering what this signing's all about, and I think actually ultimately it's just desperation to get somebody in. Maybe football's changing.
Does it look to you like Ollie's fighting the board a little bit? He won't do it in public. He knows that it doesn't work. Mourinho did that, and he fell on his ass because of it. But just remove what he says front of house at the moment because he's got a certain rhetoric and narrative that he has to stick to. But in the background, he's saying, I want a striker. Do you not think at the beginning of this transfer window, he said, we need a striker? And then the Bruno deal took 4 weeks to complete, and only when the Bruno deal finished, they started looking. I can't believe Ollie, after the Bruno deal, said, oh, yeah, do you know what? I forgot we need a striker. And Ed's like, oh, what are you doing, you idiot? Why didn't you tell me 4 weeks ago? You know, I think he's continually fighting against the current to move forward with his project. But the board are continually undermining him. I know I'm backing Ollie probably a little bit too much there, but I don't think that Ollie would make these decisions. I just think he's not getting fully backed with the decisions that he's trying to make. Does that make sense?
I can't imagine for the life of me that Ole Gunnar Solskjær would put Ighalo as his as one of his options to play to sign for Manchester United. Not in a million years.
Someone just put Haaland in the comments though. I forgot about Haaland.
Well,
Haaland must have been nailed on for him.
That's what I was going to say. I think, you know, I'm not particularly bad at reading people, and I said when Ole Gunnar Solskjær was talking about Haaland, we've got him because he was like, I know where he's going, and so does he. It was like we're definitely getting him, and then when we didn't, I was stunned. I was really stunned, and I think what happened with that is I think Haaland wanted to come to United, and I think Solskjær thought he was coming to United. Remember, he flew out there on a Friday, and I think he was coming to United, and I think what stopped that deal was the agent and Woodward. I think United didn't like the release clause, and that was why they backed out, not because it wasn't the right player. And again, it's a business reason instead of a football reason that we didn't get Haaland. And I'm not saying it's wrong. For some people felt it was right for us to pull out. There shouldn't be release clauses. We shouldn't be bullied by Mino Raiola. But ultimately, that's the player that Ollie wanted. He wanted Erling Haaland. He's getting Ighalo on loan. So, whatever happens with Ole Gunnar Solskjær, and I don't think he's done good as a manager. I don't. But if he's sacked in the summer, he can say, I wanted that player. This is what I got. And, let's be honest. If Ighalo's going to do well, and Custard Berry Tart says, good name, Ighalo is a short-term fix for you, like Arsenal signings, both clubs likely waiting to go big in the summer, which I wouldn't disagree with. And for Ace, as some would say, this is Ollie's real first signing. I mean, just because the vision is building for the future, the squad needs bodies now. Maybe they have a bit more quality than Ighalo, says Imran Omar. What I would say is, I hope, and he's a Manchester United player. I didn't want Matic, and I still backed him at the start. And with Ighalo, I will definitely back him because that's what you do. But I don't think it would be unfair, Paul, to say for him to do well, he's going to have to do a mad one, isn't he? He's not coming in. He's not a high expectation player. You look at him and you just go, he's a washed up Premier League player. He ain't going to come in and set the league on fire. He might do, and if he does, what a masterstroke. But I just don't. I just think it's not a risk, because a risk would be to get nobody. So I think they've made the right decision. But I think ultimately it comes down to, again, just how bad we are at recruitment and planning. We've known about this for 6 months. Lukaku and Sanchez went 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we got Bruno for, though. Bruno's the game changer. He's the link. He's the kingpin. He's the one we're pinning all of our hopes to. I know that it's a lot of pressure going on this guy. And to be honest, in the pictures and everything I've seen about Bruno Fernandes, he seems like a really nice bloke. And I like that. He also seems like a good leader. He seems like he's very, very direct in the way he wants to win games. Everything about him screams Manchester United, which I love. But we can't expect everything to change because we've got one player. And I hope that's not the case, because it's not going to happen. He will provide quality. And that link in the middle of the park has always been the problem and a breakdown of our transition. So that's going to be, hopefully, where we can improve. But that's his job to change the game. Ighalo is there to rest players. I think he's just there so we can rest Martial, we can rest Rashford, we can rotate a little bit and get the odd goal. And that's what just screams insanity. We've got to pay $100,000 a week for what seems to be someone that we can just plonk in there and rotate around so we can get other players resting. That doesn't scream to me like we've got a new policy which is working perfectly in terms of recruitment. It just seems like ineptitude and naive planning. But it is what it is now. When we get him, we know we'll support him. You never know; he could be a game changer, Mark. But if he is, it's not through planning; it's through pure luck.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that's the thing. There's two sides to this. There's the side that is angry, and I think everyone's got every right to be angry as to how badly the football club is run. This is poor planning, and it's absolutely typified by what everyone thinks of this deal. It's desperate. It's embarrassing, and that is right. Woodward gave an interview talking about how they've made mistakes in the past, but from last summer they're getting it right. Well, this proves you're not getting it right. This proves you're just as bad as you were before. It's embarrassing to have to do this. I mean, he's not worth £100,000 a week, never in a million years. It's embarrassing to do this deal. But what I would say is, in the short term, and it is a short-term deal, we started this stream at 4 o'clock, and we were like, we're probably going to do nothing. Well, we thought we were getting Josh King, or we're going to do nothing. We would have been moaning if we'd done nothing, wouldn't we? We would have known. If we were sat here now doing nothing, we would have been moaning. So you've got to take it in the situation we're in. Getting something is better than getting nothing. But the bigger picture is it's not good enough that the planning has been as bad as it is. The latest is that Ighalo is scheduled to fly to England tomorrow ahead of his loan move to United. I don't know where he's flying from. And I'm just seeing if there's anything else. scheduled to
Mark,
fight.
I've got Daniel in Discord. Can I drag him in?
Yeah, do.
Because he's got a few things to say, apparently. One sec.
It is interesting, though. I've just seen Flex's tweet on Twitter, and he's saying, I wonder who in the Manchester United boardroom said, I know, let's get Ighalo. That's a good idea. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. We've got 13,000 people watching. Welcome to the Transfer Deadline stream. Subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get up to 652,000 subscribers. We're in the midst of the last sort of 2 hours now. Ighalo is looking like it is done as a 6-month loan deal. And I really don't get why everybody's upset with Ighalo joining on loan. It's depth in the team from now to May. We've got a lot of games and Martial won't be available every week. And that's a very, very relevant comment. It is a very relevant comment because we've put ourselves in this situation where we have to welcome this player because we do need a player. My frustration is that we knew about this for a long time and we've allowed ourselves to get into a desperate situation where we have to take a risk on a player like this. And I don't think a club like Manchester United should be getting itself into a situation like that. Young Knockout says Ighalo will come and prove you all wrong. I hope he does. But it will be luck. It won't be strategy. You know, he's not some hidden gem, is he? He's playing in the Chinese league and he's 30 years of age. I hope it does work out, but it's not. Nobody's predicting that. There's no Moneyball scenario that's going to work. Don't think we've had Bruno if Haaland had signed, says Fred the Red. I don't think so either. And Rory Bacon says, Mark, check your Twitter. How do you check? You know when people say check your Twitter? Twitter's massive. Like, how do you check your Twitter? I'd love to know how you do that. Imagine Bruno flopping and Ighalo popping, says Nakabu. Hey, you never know. You never know. But have we got Dan in-house?
Yeah, you sure do. What's going on, boys?
We're all right. We're all right. It's better than nothing. What do you think?
Yeah, doing well.
Yeah, not too bad. Definitely taken aback by this news, but I'm not going to say that something's better than nothing. But I think he gives us a different dynamic. If he does sign, his body of work was really made up 4 years ago in the Premier League. But he was AFCON's top scorer, and AFCON's a pretty serious competition. I think in some ways it's got some better talent than definitely than the Copa Sudamericana and the ones that they play in North America. So. It's not terrible, but I hope it's not for the long term. Option to buy is the key word on option.
The interesting thing is that you're right. He is. I felt with Ighalo, and it was the same with the other African striker who was at Sunderland. Was it Asamoah Gyan?
Yeah.
He left the Premier League at an age where you're like, why are you leaving the Premier League? And I think Gyan went to UAE or something like that. On ridiculous money, and Ighalo went to China on ridiculous money, and Carrasco went to China on ridiculous money, and Oscar went at about 25 on ridiculous money. And for somebody who would just be happy to play football, I'm like, that's just so mercenary. That is just so mercenary. You're playing in the best league in the world, in Europe as well, the best area in the world to play football, and you're off to play in China. But just because you're going to China, it's not like going to the MLS, with all due respect, Dan. It's not a retirement home. You do get players going there just to earn the big money. And in relation to Ighalo, at Watford, he was probably on 30,000 a month, a week max, and he's on 300 grand a week. So you can see why some players do it. I don't think he went to China because he was a bad player. I think he went to China for the money.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. It's definitely made a business decision there, which is, you can't fault the guy for that, but you got to fault where some of these guys' heads are at in terms of where the competition is. He only just retired for Nigeria after this AFCON, so he still was playing somewhat high-level football. He's scored more calendar goals this year than Alexis Sanchez, so I think he's definitely going to provide more from that standpoint. But I was just speaking of Paul earlier. I kind of want to get both of your thoughts on this, but I kind of have a feeling that Ole does kind of want this player, and I'll tell you why. In 2007, 2008, he played for Lyn, which is in the Norwegian league, and it was coached by Henning Berg, who used to play for United with Ole and on the Norway national team with Ole. There was the links to Josh King today. Haaland was his other option. He likes to go for guys that he knows or knows of. Dan James, recommendation of Giggs. And, the other guys like Wan-Bissaka and Maguire were pretty much right in front of him. Ray Charles could have signed those players. So really, Bruno apart, and Bruno is just one to appease the fans. So I just kind of want to get both of your feedback in terms of what you guys think of the actual recruitment strategy is, because I don't think he knows much of what he wants and what he knows. I don't think he knows much.
Well, I was going to read this super chat from Andrew Rossi because it sort of adds into that. And he says, I think we need some perspective. It looks took Woodward 2 transfer windows to sign Bruno. How can you expect him to sign a striker of quality in 3 days? 5 goals and he's already more successful than Sanchez. And yeah, I mean, look, what do you think about that, Paul, in relation to this being an Ollie signing? I mean, I've got to be honest. You know, when Dan puts it like that, and I don't know what everybody in the live comments thinks, I would rather Ighalo, in a way, is a better signing than Josh King for 25 million. Because Josh King for 25 million stunned me when I heard that this morning. I was like, he's 28. He's nowhere near a top 6 player. And we're going to spend money on a player that's going to be here for 3 or 4 years. At least with Ighalo, there's no future in it. It literally is 6 months, wham bam, thank you, man. Maybe he gets another year, but he isn't going to because he's on loan. I don't know how long his contract is in China. It'd be interesting to know that because he's on £300,000 a week and we're only paying 100 of it. So there is no long-termism to Ighalo no matter what. He's gone in the summer, whereas Josh King would have been here for 3 or 4 years. And that I sort of agree with him, with Dan, Paul. It's worrying to think who was behind the sort of Josh King rumour anyway. It's I worry that our expectations in that club are dropping because based on the sort of players that we might be looking at.
Yeah, do you know what? Dan's come up with a really relevant point there in terms of Ollie wants to go for players that he knows the character of. So he knows what type of person they are. He wants people with commitment to the cause. He doesn't want mercenaries who come in for the cash, which is Ighalo. He probably knows him because of the connections, and Haaland and Josh King, who he knows from previously because he taught him in the academy. These are screaming Ollie signings. The other signings I don't know as they are Ollie signings, but when it comes down to it, he wants commitment and he wants character, and that's the first thing he talked about with Bruno as well. So I don't know what comes first: technique, ability, character. I think it's character with Ollie, and these 3 options point towards that. But I don't know if that's the first thing that should be on the list.
It's interesting as well because in his interviews, one of the first things Ole Gunnar Solskjær ever talks about, he did it with Bruno as well, is their personality. They're such a great guy, aren't they? And it's obviously very important to him. Let me just read some super chats because I'm sure they'll bring out some questions. Leo Falstad says, wasn't Ighalo the top scorer in the Africa Cup? Better than nothing. We desperately need a striker. Cheers, Mark. Keep up the good work. Scal from Norway. He was. That's what Dan just said. Yeah, he was top scorer. We should sign the young Derby Counties prospect, Wayne Rooney. He's been impressive and could be just what United need now, says Colm. Jimbo74, what do you think Ighalo is coming also because not being able to play in China also with the virus spreading? Yeah, I think a lot of the Chinese players are looking to move. Carrasco's just gone on loan to Atletico Madrid because they have suspended that league, so they're not going to be playing football, are they? So it makes sense for them to move, I suppose. And actually, that's a very good point. I don't know how long that's going to be going on in China, but it could be going on for 2 or 3 months. So if you are a club that's paying somebody £300,000 a week, and United are willing to pay 100,000 of it, well, you're saving yourself 100,000, aren't you? Right now, we have to take what we can get. Nobody of calibre wants to come here, and we are literally scraping the bottom of the barrel, says Aidan G. And Steph Chadwick, I'll support Ighalo if he's wearing the shirt, and at least he's only here for 6 months. Who knows, he might get his head on a few of Bruno and Delo's crosses. Look, what I would say about this is nothing to do with Ighalo. This is nothing to do with being negative. This is all about the club again. This is recruitment. This is poor strategy. This is slow. This is, we work on 1 deal, we can't work on 2. We saw it in the summer. June was about Wan-Bissaka. July was about Maguire. And then, where's the midfielder? Oh, we've run out of time. We can't multitask on deals. We should have got Bruno Fernandes last summer, but we couldn't multitask. It was all about Dan James, Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire. We've run out of time. Look at this January transfer window. Bruno Fernandes, 1 day left. Ighalo. We've run out of time. We can't multitask. That's ridiculous for a football club. We can't multitask. And we've known we needed a striker for 6 months, and we've ended up grabbing somebody from China on the last day of the transfer window. So in isolation, I'd rather have somebody than nobody, but it just shows again how poor our recruitment is and how slow we are at working through deals. Which is why we were saying before, Paul, I don't think United will ever catch up, because the whole point of catching up with Man City and Liverpool is you've got to do things quicker than them. We're so slow at doing things. We're already, this midfielder, Bruno, should have happened in the summer, so we do it now. We're always playing catch up with ourselves and everybody else. And that just comes down to recruitment. This is back to this is not negativity. This is back to putting the focus on the Glazers and Woodward again. The recruitment is just too slow. And that's forced us into this, which is one of the most weird deals we've ever done. I'm not saying it won't work, but it is a weird deal. But I must say, I don't know what you think, Dan, I must say, ultimately, Martial pulls his hamstring and he's out for a month. Do you want God knows who playing up front, or do you want to go, no, at least we brought that Ighalo in. So from that point of view, somebody is better than nobody. It's just we could have had somebody better, I think.
Right. I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before Martial gets hurt anyway, because he usually has 2 or 3 injuries a season, sometimes about 2-3 weeks apiece. So I think it's only a matter of time before that happens. Like I said, I think you offer something different. At the end of the day, it's Odi and Ighalo. I mean, it's very hard to get that excited, but I think people are just getting really wound up about this one because of the name. The forward for Lille, Osimhen, who he actually backed up Ighalo at the AFCON. He said that a lot of the Nigerian players look up to him in terms of he's a Nigerian football legend, and so I don't think it's too far to say that he's a horrible player. I just think that he's kind of at the end of his road. But if it's 6 months, then fine. If there's an option to buy and they exercise the option, then that's another conversation. But I think for 6 months, I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. I'll put my neck on the line. I think he'll get between 7 and 10 goals because the competitions we're playing in, Europa League and things like that. So
yeah, there's a lot of games.
I definitely think he's an option. So I'm going to say between 7 and 10 goals. He could even get more than that. So, and if it means less playing time for a guy like Lingard, that's two more players that have just come in. That means 2 more players are going to be on the bench. So, to me, that's only a positive because what we have now is not good enough. And people are saying that, we're Man United, we shouldn't be, but we've been in this rut for 6 years. So we're really not Man United anymore. I mean, not the Man United that we grew up watching. So you got to start somewhere.
It's interesting. It's like therapy, isn't it? I think I'm starting to become more positive to the deal. To be honest, wouldn't Ighalo go into quarantine? Says Daniel. I don't know. I mean, look, I don't know whether that's a joke. I don't know whether that's genuine. I don't know where he's flying from. I don't even know if he's in China because he played his last game at the start of December, so he might not even be in China. He could be in Africa or something having a break. I don't know, but he might. I'm sure. Look, he won't play tomorrow, and our next game's not till the 19th of February. So it's not a massive. I don't think it's the 19th. I think it's the 17th actually. So 2 weeks away. So you'd hope he'd be available for that. Imagine how bad Ighalo is if they would rather save a third of his wages and send him off than play him. Well, they can't play him, Stig, because the games are suspended in China at the moment. Your recruitment strategy is almost as bad as ours when we had the bold idiot Ivan Gazidos, who is now ruining Milan, says Zain Miasi, who is an Arsenal fan. Mauricio Cavanermo says, Mark, Odion Ighalo has played in Norway from 07 to 08 in a club called Lyn, which Dan was also talking about. And Shaveen says, can we look at this Ighalo guy up on Smarter Scout? Maybe he did already, just turned back in. We are more desperate than a goldfish in a leaking bag. Look, we did Smarter Scout. We also did Smarter Scout and we did Who Scored. Smarter Scout likened him to a wide range of players, wasn't it, Paul? I remember Britta Sombalonga was there. Aubameyang was there. Mbappe was there.
Mbappe?
Yeah. So I don't think we can take Smarter Scout. What Smarter Scouts did say is that he's not very good in the air, which is surprising because he's quite tall. I think he's 6'2". But hold-up play was good. Dribbling was good. Yeah, if you
have the combination between Smarter Scout and Who Scored, if you have the combination between those two, then you get a pretty scattered opinion on Ighalo.
I've got Who Scored up
again. He's not good at anything apart from shooting, but he's like Aubameyang and Mbappe. So, yes, it's all over the shop.
Who Scored said his strength is finishing. His weaknesses are holding the ball up, offside awareness, aerial duels, passing and defensive contribution. And his style of play is gets fouled often. It's just, I've never heard that as a style of play before. But look, he's coming in. I suppose the positive is he's coming in with low expectations. So, you know, I think when people come in with low expectations, they actually end up being better than you think. So, and of course, he will come in with low expectations anyway, Dan, because he's coming in from China, and the Chinese league is, you know, with all due respect, it's not. I don't think anybody watches it, do they? Apart from the Chinese, maybe.
Yeah, no, I've never broadcasted a game myself. I mean, just looking at some of the numbers, right? So obviously his last season at Watford, you know, he left halfway through the season to go to China, but 27 games in 2017 with 15 goals, 28 games in 2018 with 21 goals. Last year, 17 games, 10 goals, and 2020 hasn't started yet for them. So, you know, if you're a forward, you don't forget how to score.
Yeah.
And I think somebody actually made a really good point in the comments. They said that we need a player like this to help us score against the lower sides, and I think that's 100% right. I think a lot of our flair players, quote-unquote flair players, they can't get it done against these weaker teams, especially ones that sit behind the ball. But I think that he's going to be able to help out in those situations. And as Paul said, you know, if you can bring us 5 points, let's say 5 to 10 points this season, right? That could be the difference between getting top 4. I think it's a no risk. What's the risk in bringing a guy like this? And I know for everybody's pride, you don't want to hear the name Odion Ighalo on your team sheet, but for everybody's sake, I mean, there's literally no risk involved in this. It's not our money, but we're paying him weekly, so who cares? Who cares?
Zamiasi says, I think the Glazers and the Kroenkes should be quarantined for ruining our clubs. And interesting from Snap Loke, he says he's actually in Nigeria at the moment, so there won't be any quarantine. It's a 6-hour flight to the UK. The interesting thing is, I think with Ighalo, sometimes when you've got a player that may be a little bit basic compared to what we've got, with all due respect, that, like Dan says, that can be a good thing, because we've got a lot of flair players. We've got a lot of, you know, we have got a lot of flair players, but Ighalo, somebody who maybe keeps the game simple, might be quite useful. And just something a little bit blunt, I suppose. So the only thing I would say is about this, and Mark Lent says, Ighalo grew up a Man United fan, would run through a brick wall for the badge. At least it's only a loan. That passion plus 5 goals could help to top 4. Well, actually, the person I know who knows Troy Deeney, I've actually got the screenshot here. I can't show it you. They've sent me the message, and that was one of the things he said. He's a massive Man United fan. So that's always a good thing. But what is interesting is, again, let's take it away from the short-termism, because I think everybody can agree on this night tonight, if we weren't signing anybody, we'd be moaning more than we are about Ighalo. So, yeah, I think we've got a right to moan, but it's better than nothing. I think we accept that. But the long-term picture, it's unacceptable that we've ended up in this situation, and I agree with that. But what is really interesting is this time last year, I specifically remember we were all talking about Lukaku and how we need to get rid of Lukaku in the summer. He can't hold the ball up. He's got nothing to his game. He's only good in the penalty box. And he's very good in the penalty box. He scored a lot of goals for Inter again. And here we are a year later. We've pocketed the money from Lukaku, bringing Ighalo in on loan. And effectively, I hope he's not, but Ighalo to me looks like a Poundland Lukaku. In his
That's
attributes,
the problem, isn't it?
It looks like we've let Lukaku go and brought in for the last 4. This is what I mean. This is where I'm struggling. I don't get, and you've said this a lot, Paul. I don't get what Ollie's vision is. I don't mind short-termism. I don't mind.
Is it? It's all over the shop.
But you've basically brought in a Poundland Lukaku who you got rid of in the summer for the right reasons. And a lot of people say, why did you get rid of Lukaku? He's scoring loads of goals. Lukaku is good in the penalty box, but his build-up play was atrocious. And I thought he's getting rid of him because he doesn't want a player like that. And now we're going for a player who is not as good as Lukaku to come in and put a plaster on. Again, it's better than it is better. It's a confusing one to work.
Looks like it's happening.
Yeah.
No, Jonathan Cross. He's from the Mirror, but he's actually quite a good journalist, I think. Says Ighalo due to arrive tomorrow. Deal is agreed. Don't forget, clubs get extra time as long as the deal sheets are in. As long as VAR doesn't intervene, he'll be a Man United player, loan with a view. So you know, all arrows, all journalists, everything points to Ighalo happening. So I'm in shock. I really am.
Rance has just tweeted
Ighalo. Everything you just said is absolutely spot on.
Rance has just tweeted, Ighalo, I just want to jump out this transfer window.
Yeah, I like Rants and his directness. He does speak the truth. You know, not everything he says is, well, it's all his opinion, but not everybody's opinion. But he's direct, and you know, if we were really to drill down and think how we feel about this, my personal opinion is this is an embarrassment, and we got a pound land Lukaku, as you just said. So, what the hell is that meant to say about our club?
You know what? It's not Ighalo's fault, and I wish him all the best. It's his dream move, and I'll get behind him and want him to do well. It's not his fault. This is the bloody club again. This is the club cutting corners, saving money, not planning ahead. And it annoys me because Ed Woodward did that interview around October saying, we've made mistakes in the past, we won't be doing it again. But people will say, well, this doesn't cost us any money. It doesn't cost us any money. It's a short-term thing, and that's right. But we're meant to be building something. We're meant to be trying to... I mean, look at what Liverpool are doing. What are we doing as a football club to stop Liverpool doing that? Like, even if Ighalo comes in and scores 10 goals, he's not long-term, is he? It's so short-term. So it is a stopgap. It is a plaster. We've all got to accept that. I mean, but I do agree with what James Robson said on Twitter, who's a journalist. He says, Ighalo is convinced he's secured his dream move to United. Have to say it makes a lot more sense than King. I agree with that. And I mean, Dan, what would you have preferred? Would you have liked Josh King at 28, Premier League proven, or Ighalo at 30? Which one would you have preferred if you could have chosen? Because I would have gone Ighalo, really, and then get someone else in the summer.
Yeah, I would have gone with Ighalo, Slimani, even Solomon Rondon over Josh King, for a few reasons. One, Josh King's 28 and he's hurt right now, so that doesn't. How does that help us? You don't know when he's even going to be back. He could have setbacks along the way. Number two is I think those guys bring something different than Josh King. I think Josh King is just a similar player that we already have. He's kind of like a, the beta version of Rashford. Does a lot of running. He's got a little bit of flair on the ball. He's a decent finisher. Creates himself some chances. Especially the season he had last season and 2 seasons ago. I think he was in the top 5 for Premier League goals scored. But I mean, he's hurt. So why would you spend that type of money on a hurt forward who's 28? He's closer to the end than he is to the beginning. So just doesn't make sense. Like I said, there was about 3 or 4 players that we were looking at that I would have taken over King. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm happy with it. But again, there's no risk. Like if anybody in the live comments could say that what the risk is of signing a player like this, please enlighten us. But to me, there's no risk. It's just like you've said, like Paul said, it's highlighted the fact that we're an embarrassing in terms of the way we run our operations as a football club, the way we negotiate everything. We've just exposed ourselves, which is, to me, I'm actually kind of happy about that. We've got a need in a forward. We've got a need in Bruno Fernandes. But at the same time, we've embarrassed ourselves and highlighted the fact that we're incompetent. So actually, all boxes have been ticked.
Somebody on Twitter has said Ighalo as a striker is the equivalent of Lee Grant as a keeper. I think that's unfair. I mean, Lee Grant is just Lee Grant's bloody, he's got no pedigree. Zayn Miassi says, I think the Glazers and Kroenke should. Yeah, I've read that one. Jordan Such, if we sign Bruno in June, July or August and not in late January, we'd not be in this situation. We have to back Ighalo what he is here for. It's not his fault. We're a shambles at recruitment. I agree with that. It's not his fault. He shouldn't be the. If he comes in and flops, he should not be the target of our frustration. I totally agree. This, as Paul said very well a few minutes ago, if this works out, it's luck. If it doesn't work out, it's on the board. Is he being brought in to fix for his love for the club? It might be infectious in the changing room and boost morale, says Conleth McCambridge. Well, that's the one thing. I mean, look, get in the live comments and tell us what your thoughts are about this signing, because I want to read what your thoughts are. Just a couple of sentences or maybe a sentence, and we'll read some out. But that's an interesting thing as well. We know in Bruno Fernandes, and I think you were talking about this, Paul. We know in Bruno Fernandes we've brought in a leader. Well, I don't know whether you know, Dan, was Ighalo, you both mentioned, I think Dan was mentioning it as well, that he's looked up to and he's respected. Was he captain of Nigeria? Was he a leader for Nigeria? Because that's something, again, isn't it? Even if he's not that good on the pitch, if he's got the right character and he's got it's experience as well, that might be something we're overlooking that could be really important, because we are a team that lacks experience and fight, and this guy, well, he's come from Africa, he's played for Nigeria, the AFCON's a tough tournament, he's played in the Premier League, he's gone to China, he's going to have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, I don't know if you want to take it away first or...
No, Dan, you seem to you know a lot more about him than I do, mate, so carry on.
Yeah, I mean, him and I just know for Nigeria, John Obi Mikel was the captain at the last AFCON. I know him and Ighalo used to lead the team talks. Ighalo being a forward, he used to get all the wingers and the other forwards involved, like Osman and Ahmed Musa. And then Mikel being the midfielder, he was the captain of the team and rally everybody else. But as an experienced player, as a 30-year-old player, you know, I do think that there's things that our younger players can learn from guys like this, and sometimes it's not always about the quality of the person ahead of you. It's just about a different mindset. You got to understand there's nobody ahead of Martial, there's nobody ahead of Greenwood, there's nobody ahead of Dan James to even look to in terms of, hey, you've played the game 8 years more than me, or you've played the game 10 years more than me, or whatever. There's none of that. So it's not always about the quality. Sometimes it's just about being there. You know, a person who's 10 years older than you has more experience in life than you know, the person who's 10 years younger. So in any walk of life, that's not just football. But to me, like I said, there is no risk. There is a chance for players to learn from him, and you know, again, it's a loan. I think that if it was the option to buy is discussed in the summer, that's something we got to be worried about. But I think right now, it could only be positive in terms of trying to finish this season in top four and trying to advance in our competitions that we're in.
And also, just to quickly, I'm sure you're going to come back, Paul. I'm going to read some of these live comments as well. The loan to the option to buy thing would surely be snubbed by Manchester United. Well, in fact, you can answer that, Paul. I mean, even if he did get 10, 15 goals and did quite well, he's 31 this summer. He's on 300 grand a week in China. It cannot ever become a permanent deal, even if it says with an option to buy. We're surely going to refuse that option anyway, which for those people who are worried, then that should ease your pain a little bit as well, because we ain't going to give a 31-year-old 300 grand a week, are we? So
No, we're not. But when's his contract up?
I don't know. I should be able to find that. I'll have a look into that while you just. It's normally quite easy.
Only because you wouldn't put it past Ed, would you? I mean, the reactive approach we have towards transfers and towards, you know, our methodology for getting players in is he scores 15 goals miraculously, gets us into the Champions League, we reward him with a 3-year contract till he's 34. Would you put it past Ed to do that? Because I wouldn't. I genuinely wouldn't. You know, and Ollie would see a good character and someone who's good in the dressing room and sign him up.
2021.
That's the scary thing. I really could see him doing that.
I think we're all right, mate, because it's his contract runs till December 2021. So yeah, we'd be all right because it's
cool. Like, we won't pay him 300 grand a week, guaranteed. But yeah, the option to buy, they can throw that in there.
And that's the good thing, isn't it? Because Ighalo's going to go
taking the notes of it because they'll just say no. So
Ighalo's going to have a choice. If Ighalo scores 15 goals and if Ighalo scores 15 goals and United say we'd like to buy you, and he goes, I'm on 300 grand a week, United are going to go, yeah, we're not going to pay you that. We'll give you 100, and then it's up to him, innit? I want to join my boyhood club.
Do you know I was just about to say, it's his boyhood club, and that's going to mean a lot to him. He's going to want to do well for his boyhood club. This is going to be his dream move. Wherever he's been before, he will not want to work harder than he ever has before coming to this position. He'll want to get goals. He'll want to get on the pitch, and every time he gets on the pitch, he'll want to try his heart out to give everything he can. And I think Ollie might appreciate that.
Please subscribe if you're new. We're only 300 away from 652. It'd be nice to close the transfer window by hitting 652. Bottom right hand corner to subscribe. You can share the video by hitting the share button. A few super chats coming in about their thoughts on Ighalo. Jack TM says goals in him plus passion, no negativities in alone. Michael Malio says the reason why United finished second was Zlatan. His experience was worth millions. He could have the same impact. I think you're running away with yourself comparing Zlatan to Ighalo, but you know, hopefully. MUFC for life says he may do. Well, it's Friday night. He might have had a drink. He may do well. To think we signed Henrik Larsson and he was phenomenal. Shame he didn't score a lot for United. Again, I think comparing Ighalo to Larsson's a bit too much, but you know, we might have the same impact. John Parashatham says the club is a disgrace, but to be fair, now that Bruno is here, Ighalo, Martial, Greenwood could get a lot of service. Get James off the bench for impact. Won't this work? Imagine if Pogba, McSauce are back. And Leaf Hunter says I'm not taking the piss, Mark. Ighalo is actually a pretty fun flair player to watch. He does the odd mess up, but he tries stuff that's cool. Well, look, you know what? As the stream's gone on, I've really enjoyed it because we I'm actually like, I do see the positive in it. What annoys me is we shouldn't be doing this as a club. We shouldn't be chasing around loan deals from China on the last day of a January transfer window. We knew this needed doing 6 months ago, but that's just what we are as a club. But ultimately, in general, Dan, what do you feel about the transfer window? You know, you've got Ighalo in now, which gives us another option. And more importantly, we've got Bruno in. So, as you were saying there, it's 2 new players in that are probably better than a lot of what we got.
Overall, I'd have to say probably 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
I got to give it a 3 out of 10 because the Bruno deal they could have got done a month ago. The Ighalo deal is you know, that's the last all the way down at the bottom of the barrel. I think there was about 3 or 4 other you know, forwards that we were looking to sign on loan, not permanently. And I do think that if they got Haaland, they wouldn't get Bruno. So it's got to be a 3 out of 10 for me. I think there was points on the board that we could have took down, especially if we had Bruno Fernandes in the team and we didn't. So all in all, I'm giving it a 3 because we addressed a big need in midfield, and we're limiting playing time to other players that should be out there anyway playing. You know, you got 2 players in, that's going to take away minutes from guys that should be playing, like Pereira and Lingard. So a 3 out of 10 from me.
Zamiasi says he's the African Alexis Sanchez, hopefully the good one. And Liam Trim says it's a bad thing. He's a fan. He's hungry for playtime and short term after Bruno buy. That's a win. I'm still waiting for my brew emoji, says Liam Tim. I'm going to get a Bruno emoji. Actually, I'm just going to quickly take a toilet break. But what I wanted to ask your thought, this quick one here. Ighalo's loan fee said to be $3 million, and United will pay him just over £100,000 a week until the end of the season. We've had to pay $3 million for him as well, which is... I don't know with loan deal. We were talking about this.
Over $5 million for Bruno Fernandes, Mark.
Yeah.
What's the story with that?
I mean, that's news to me, whether that's true or not. I don't know with loan deals how they end up working. But, yeah. But what I was going to quickly pop for a toilet break anyway, like I said. But I'll only be a moment. What I was going to say is just your thoughts on the transfer window, Paul. And I think it's worth considering as well, as we are going through a bit of a positive half an hour. Look at Spurs, look at Chelsea. They wanted players, nothing for Chelsea, no striker for Spurs. We have got a midfielder in and we have got a striker in. I'll leave you to it for a moment.
Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about it, to be honest. In principle, we're horrible at transfer windows. In reality, we've got 2 more players that could make the difference. So it depends whether you want to be positive or negative. You can be both. You can look at it pragmatically and say, we're absolutely shit at doing this. But you can also look at it, you know, in respect to the players that we've got, saying we've got 2 players that are going to make the difference and get us Champions League football. I don't know where everybody sits. I kind of sit in the middle of that. I'd probably give the transfer window a little bit more than Dan. I thought you were a little bit harsh, pal. I'll give it a 6. Because we could do so much more.
6 is high.
Yeah, because Bruno is a player that can make a difference, in my opinion, mate. I really think he can be that link in between the good players we have up front and the half decent players we have in defence and midfield. Fred, if we can get Fred, Bruno, and McTominay working together, or a Pogba, Fred and Bruno combination kicking off, that could be something we can work with. But you know, everyone's got to get fit first. I don't know how do you feel about Bruno, mate? You haven't really talked specifically about him.
Oh no, I think it's fantastic. I think individually, I would give the Bruno transfer close to a 9, 8 out of 10. I think a Ighalo transfer a 5 because there's no risk. It's just not the player we want. But I'm saying the transfer window as a whole, not the players, just how we've conducted the business, I think has been awful. Because we could have gotten these things done a while ago. So just to clarify on that, I think Bruno's going to be fantastic, man. He just, like, if you I don't know if anybody's in the comments and watching the training videos from today, but the way Martial's looking at him is like he just met the love of his life, because I think he finally knows now he's going to get the ball in a decent area to score. And I think he's just got one of these infectious personalities. Like, came into the first training session, he didn't look, didn't look phased, he didn't look nervous. I think he's gonna be fantastic for the team, man. I really do.
Yeah, do you know what? I've only seen pictures on Twitter and the Man United website. I already like the guy. I don't know why. I already like him. Just his
Yeah.
attitude. I've watched parts of his interview. I do. I connect with him straight away because he's positive. He just seems like he wants to be there. Maybe I'm being fooled, or maybe I'm being overhyped, but I like him, and I really think he's going to do well. But I thought that about Alexis Sanchez, as Zane made a super chat earlier, saying that Ighalo's the new Alexis Sanchez, which, who knows? We've only got it for 6 months, so who cares? But yeah,
and he's on a quarter.
I think Bruno is. I know. Yeah, Ighalo's not going to make the big difference. Bruno, I think, could. But in respect to Chelsea, they've brought nobody in. I think Arsenal have brought Suarez in from Southampton. He's not a game changer. And a defender from Brazil. I don't know what he's like. They only paid £12 million for him, so I don't think he's going to be Van Dijk. Who else? Tottenham, they bought in Bergwijn.
Good signing.
And I think somebody else.
Jedson
Fernandes. And the Portuguese kid, Jedson Fernandes. So, in reference to the windows of the other teams we're up against for top four, how do you think we've done?
I'd say in relation to the top four, I'd say we've obviously done better than Chelsea because they've done nothing. We've done better than Arsenal because all they've done is patch up their already bad defense, and I don't think their two defensive signings are going to be good enough. Got to understand, Pablo Mari was playing in South America, wasn't he? He was playing in the Argentinian league or in the Brazilian league playing in the Brazilian league, so the defending there is not really up to snuff.
I think Brazilian league.
Yeah, right. He was playing at Flamengo, maybe. And Cedric Suarez was a guy that I thought United were going to be trying to get a couple of years ago from Southampton, but they don't really need right backs and wing backs, do they? They already have Bellerin, Maitland-Niles, Kolasinac. I don't really see how he fits. So I think out of the teams that are closest in the top three, they've done the best business. Wolves run the same points as Wolves. They've made a couple.
You think better than us?
In terms of the business they've done.
Do you think we've won the transfer window?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say overall, I'd give our overall transfer window definitely better than every other club in the Premier League, Liverpool included. They didn't have to do anything. They did wrap up Minamino pretty quickly, but I think we've got the best. I think we've made the best signing of the transfer window period out of all of Europe. I think Bruno Fernandes is that good, and I don't think any other club has really made that sort of significant signing.
I disagree, Dan.
Such as we have, but
Me neither.
I've got one word. Dortmund, Haaland and Emre Can. I think that's a pretty good transfer window for the value for money they've got.
You think that's better than getting Bruno Fernandes though? Because what I'm saying is they don't really need Emre Can or Erling Haaland. I mean, we needed that signing for almost a year. I mean, I just think he's one of those players that's like, you could get forwards, you could get other midfielders. I think there's only a couple talented midfielders in his ilk that can do it all.
We'll come back to that. Let me just read these super chats before they disappear, because I think it's good. It's a good conversation point that I think the live comments would be interested in. Darren Cox says Ighalo has taken part in the last 10 games in China, missed about half of the games up until then. He hasn't played since the December, and he might be fresh to play. He might be rusty. We'll see. I think it would take him some time to get up to speed. I would have preferred a wide player instead of a striker. DJ shouldn't be starting every week, says Ganuel Balandres. And we would have been tough to get one, but yeah, thoughts. I mean, I think there is. We've spoken about that, and you are right. Rashford's injured. He's a wide player. Martial plays down the middle, and maybe if we'd played, is Martial going to move to the left? We'll come back to that one as well. But I do want to talk about that for the moment. Zane's bloody Friday night. He says we have Martinelli and co. We have our attack in our pocket. We have a Pep Guardiola in the making. Come this summer, we will be given 200 million and you will be stuck with Ollie, says Zane Biassi. Well, we might have Poch. We'll see. But the future is in the future and the now is now. And Ashir Ahmed says there is two ways to look at this. He scores 5 to 10 goals off the bench and gets us into the top 4, or 2 to 3 goals and he's injured. Yeah, it is. But look, two things I want to talk about. Let's talk about that. Who's won the transfer window? Because Dan is saying, I agree with you. I think Bruno Fernandes is the signing of the January transfer as a signing. But as a general club January transfer window, I don't. You marked it as 3 out of 10. I don't think we can win the transfer window when we haven't done what we needed to do. I think the signing of the window is definitely Bruno Fernandes. But I think when you look at Dortmund, Chan for 25 million, bargain. Erling Haaland for 20 million, bargain. And then I actually think Spurs, getting Eriksen out and getting money when he would have gone for free in the summer, that's always a good thing. I think Gedson Fernandes is interesting, and I think Steven Bergwijn is a very good signing, and they've got him for under 30 million. So, but Spurs didn't get a striker, and they needed to get that. So I think Spurs and United probably around the same, because I do think Bruno Fernandes is a fantastic signing, Paul, but I don't think it's a great transfer window for United in relation to what we probably need to do.
Yeah, plus I've just read we're paying 4 million loan fee for Ighalo, which seems a little steep to me. Considering we were haggling over 5 million for Bruno Fernandes, I don't get this club, Mark. I really don't. Everything I seem to read seems to contradict each other.
Yeah.
And whatever they say, we just seem to go against it with actions. It's very strange. But in terms of our transfer window, in the Premier League, I think we've won it. I really do. I think getting 20 million for Eriksen when they could have got 60 million if he was in contract. It depends which way you look at that. I mean, they've got money they probably shouldn't have got, but they've also got a lot less money than they probably could have got. Bergwijn, I don't know how he's going to work out. I've only seen him a couple of times, and he didn't light the place up, but not to say he's not going to. And Gedson Fernandes is very unknown. He only had 9 games this season, and they put a huge release clause on him, but they haven't played him enough to really realise what he's going to be. So I don't know if Jose Mourinho is the sort of person who can develop players whilst at Tottenham. He's not very good at any other club. So it's going to be difficult to see. But at the moment, I'd say we've won the transfer window just because of Bruno Fernandes. Ighalo
Ighalo's pushed you over the edge, hasn't he? That's the one that's won it for us.
That's
really
key. But also, too, United got actual...
I've always wanted him. I'll put it out there. I'm just going to be honest.
United got actual money for Ashley Young, so that counts for something.
Yeah, how much did we get for Ashley Young?
Almost £2 million. That's actual
50p.
cash to spend. Almost £2 million for Ashley Young. That's not bad.
But then we're spending 4 million on Ighalo for 4 months. It's I don't know. By Sabi from HIK in the Danish Super League. He's fast, hard-working, and good on the ball. Marius Larsen. We're not looking for strikers anymore. We're getting Ighalo. John Puthatham says, Inter win the transfer window for summer and Jan. Half our deadwood is there. MUFC for life. In response to Zayn, does that mean a fraud in the making because Pep is only good when the checkbook is blank? United will add quality in the summer. Lucas says, at the moment we have to be clinical with our chances, but with Bruno and maybe Martial out wide, we can create more chances, which hopefully means more goals. We do need to create more chances. And based on the Ollie signings, do you think Ollie would make a good director of football? I can't stand this one. Dr. TA, I know it's your super chat and I respect it, but I cannot stand this comment. Look, if you don't want Ollie to be manager, sack him. Don't give him director of football job. That's my opinion. I don't know what you think, Dan and Paul.
Definitely not. I think his recruitment's poor. That's what we were just saying before we really started getting into the conversation. I think that if it's not right in front of him, certain players like your Maguire, your Wan-Bissaka, he doesn't know what to do. If it's not recommended to him, Dan James, probably Ighalo by Henningberg, I'll stand by that. I'm standing by that. I don't think he just pulled that out of left field because the same club is offering up Stefan El-Shaarawy, and we could have got him as a forward, and he could play all across the front line. I don't think he's got the ability to recruit anybody. He certainly couldn't get Haaland. I mean, I understand they were turned off by the, by the fees and especially to Mino Raiola. But if you're that good of a recruiter, someone's going to come and join your project. Whether or not the fees are there or the wages are there, they're still going to want to come. So I think that's such a myth. I think he'll be a horrible sporting director.
Paul, would you give? Would you sack Ollie and give him the director of football job?
Do you know? I've been thinking recently. The only good things he's been doing is type of a sporting director role. I'm not talking specifically about recruitment. I'm talking about Ollie at the moment is galvanising the whole entire club. He's trying to create a project with an end goal, within a space of time, with better recruitment, with with character for long-term vision to win the Premier League in a few years. That's what a director of football should be taking away from the manager and doing, so the manager can concentrate on what he needs to do with the team and the players to win games. Now, Ollie's not really been doing that very well, so I'm confused at his role. You know, he doesn't seem to be coaching very well, but he seems to be doing the job of what a director of football would do quite well. Now, when it comes down to signings, he hasn't scouted the 4 people that we bought before Bruno, before Ighalo, at all. Ighalo would probably be the only person that he might have recommended, in my opinion. So I think Dan's right. I think it's a bit of a myth that he's bringing all these players in. But yeah, in terms of coaching, I don't think he's got it. In terms of DOF, no, we need someone with experience.
Sunshine Digital Media Agency says Africa Cup of Nations 2019 goal scorers: Ighalo 5, Golden Boot winner Mane 3, Mahrez 3, Zaha 3, and Salah 2, and Aubameyang 0. So you know, pedigree's there. You know, as Dan said, it's not an easy tournament. Can you imagine Ollie and Woodward as a character from Wallace and Gromit? Says Amy Assey. I actually, funnily enough, I probably could. Let's talk about Bruno for a little bit, because this Ighalo deal is a done deal, isn't it? It's looking, it's all about getting things over the line. And you know, I've got Sky Sports on there. I've had it on all afternoon, and if it wasn't for United, there's nothing going on. We were talking about this earlier, the transfer window, and is it dying? Which maybe we can talk about in a minute. But what I want to talk about first of all is there's Premier League games tomorrow. We go from a transfer window closing into Premier League games straight away. We've got Wolves tomorrow at 5:30. Dan, Bruno Fernandes. Do you think first of all, before what sort of impact we think Bruno Fernandes is going to have? I suppose a lot of people in the live comments will be quite interested by this. Do you think Bruno Fernandes will start tomorrow?
I'm praying to the good Lord he does, but I don't think he will. I think he's going to be on the bench, and I think we're going to have to see another game with Jesse Lingard. I genuinely believe that, and it's already making me nauseous just the thought of it. Hopefully Ighalo could come over and cough some coronavirus on Jesse, so that way he doesn't get to start. But he, no, in all seriousness, he's got to start for me. He's infinitely better than everything you have in the midfield. How do you not start a player like that in a game you must win? And it's at home, so it has to start for me, but I don't think he will. I think it's going to be Pereira, Lingard, and Fred.
Jamie Ralph says, massive fan of the United stand. I don't know much about Ighalo. What will he actually bring for his short time with us? To be honest with you, I don't think anybody knows, Jamie. Hope. We'll go with hope. And Ighalo, 1.3 for 4 goals per game. Average thoughts. I think he's Cameron. That's from Cameron Bauer. Just on Ighalo very quickly. I think he scored 16 goals in 50 games for Watford, which... it's not bad if you can bring that. And Orlando Anglin says, stop talking a bull. These are Ollie players. That's why they have scouts to do this job. Give the man a break. Well, Orlando, it's not bull, because if you actually read things, you will know that Wan-Bissaka was scouted for a year before Ollie came, as was Harry Maguire, as was Bruno Fernandes, and Dan James was recommended to the club by Ryan Giggs. So, you know, it's not bull to say that, is it? But do you think Bruno will start tomorrow, Paul? It seems ridiculous that he wouldn't to me, but listening to Ollie this morning, was a bit non-committal, says he'll be involved, but he didn't know how much he'd be involved. I mean, to me, I don't know whether he's just playing a straight back there, because there's just no way he can't start. I mean, there's just no way. Matic can't play either.
Yeah, Matic is out, so we've barely got a midfield without Bruno Fernandes, so he has to play. I mean, you know, if he replaces Pereira or Lingard at number 10, then who's going to moan about that? He's match fit, mid-season, no injuries. We paid £68 million for him, and we don't put him in the team against Wolves. I mean, I would kind of understand it, but I don't think I'll be able to forgive it. And Twitter will go off if we don't start Bruno Fernandes. I think he must know that. He must know that if he doesn't start Bruno Fernandes, it's going to all kick off. But will he care? I don't really know. Plus, Ollie's interview this morning or yesterday, I can't remember when it was. He said Bruno's a box-to-box player. I didn't understand that. I don't know whether you caught that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he can play. I think there are some misconceptions about Bruno Fernandes because he majority this season has played as in a 4-3-3 on the right hand side. So there is an element of box to box about him. Also, he's played as a diamond at the head of the diamond, so number 10 about him. I mean, I just think that we play 4-2-3-1. He should play where Lingard, Pereira, and Mata have been playing. I think I've got two worries. I have one: he won't start him tomorrow, which immediately gets us off on the wrong foot. This player goes straight into the team. He's better than most of that starting 11, so he goes straight into the team. He's not an 18-year-old kid with potential. He is now. He's a now player, and he goes straight in. If he doesn't start him tomorrow, I'm wondering why. Oh, he's had a couple of bad days travelling. Come on. You know, he played on Monday night. He's been playing regularly for Sporting Lisbon. He goes straight in. And also, the second thing is, we're trying to win this game. This is... You know, we don't win this game and top four could be effectively gone if Chelsea were to get a result against Leicester. So we've got to win it. We've got no Matic, McTominay, Pogba. We've got to win it. That's my first concern, that he doesn't start him. My second concern is that he doesn't get him, like you were saying there, Paul. He doesn't understand where to play him. And for anybody who says, oh, he will, this is a guy who was playing Pogba as a CDM at the start of the season until he got injured and not getting the best out of Pogba. So they're two barriers Ollie's got to get over. They're very easy. Play him and play him in a more advanced position, but they're my worries a little bit at the moment. RCM1 Rom 30 says, David DD AWB EB HM BW Fred BF PP AM MR. We are not that far. Add Sancho on the right. In the summer, a Ighalo striker is needed to help get Champions League. Above is a Champions League team. Yeah. It's so hard, and welcome to Abe L, the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. It's so hard, isn't it, guys, to figure out where United are, and I don't think now's the time to even try. You know, we don't know what Bruno's going to do. We shouldn't expect too much until next season. Ighalo won't be here next season. Pogba might not be here next season. Yeah, so it's difficult to say. It's certainly not in my vocabulary to say we're not far off, because I think we've never been further off, because we don't know what the future is. We don't know what we're building at the moment.
No, with if Pogba was staying for the next 3 years, I would say, well, how far away would you say we were from a starting 11 that could compete with the Premier League? Not squad, because I think we're a long way away, but with Pogba, I'd say we're not that far away to have a starting 11 to compete with the top teams in the Premier League. But that isn't the issue, is it? The issue is when you have 3 injuries, the step down from your starting 11 to the squad player that you replace him with is so big that you just cannot manage a squad like that. And that's what we're going to have. We're going to have very, very good players, and then to replace the very, very good players or world-class players that we have when they get injured, we've got very basic squad players, and you can't win a Premier League like that. But Pogba is going, so we'll need 2 players to replace him. So yeah, as you say, Mark, I'm not really aware of where we're exactly at with this squad yet, because it's a huge summer and we've got a Euros as well, so it's going to be so difficult, especially with Ed Woodward at the wheel.
Welcome to Billy Gibson, the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. I mean, just to you, Dan, do you think there is any prospect of Paul Pogba staying at United, even if we got Champions League, which isn't nailed on by any means?
I want to say he's gone, but I also think he's very impressionable. I think he's an extremely impressionable player. I think that if you get top 4, if you win the Europa League and you're back in the Champions League, you brought in Bruno, you've done a little bit of, let's say they get some quick signings as soon as the window opens and he's still here, because you know that we can't make deals in or out very quickly, except for Sanchez going out. So I think he's a very impressionable player. If you bring in good players around him, I think there's a chance he could stay, because isn't he under contract after this year for another 3 years? So,
I think it might be 1 or 2 probably, with an option for another year. So
there would still be a chance of him staying for another year and see if things are starting to turn the corner, because then you could still get money for him in summer of 2021. So like I said, a very impressionable player. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but I do think there's a chance that he stays depending on what we do.
Part of me thinks there's no chance, because we've just spoken about how even if we got Champions League football, there's no if we get Champions League football from this point, we're not going to be sat here in May saying, oh, I know what the vision is, because Ighalo's short term, and there's still so much rebuilding needs to be done. I'd love to get Champions League football, but I don't think it's going to happen because we've suddenly found a vision. It's going to be because we scrap it out with teams that aren't very good like us. So I don't see Pogba looking at this team and going, this is going places. But maybe, like Dan says, we get top 4, we make a couple of good signings, and he goes, yeah. But I think the biggest thing with Pogba is, touching on that impressionable comment from Dan, Riola's his agent. If United say, we'll pay him 400 grand a week, and Riola quite fancies those fees, I think Pogba could end up staying. But I think the question is, I've always said this about Pogba, I like him, but I do think we should sell him, because over his time here, he's been inconsistent. And I don't understand how you would give Pogba a massive pay rise for the last 3 years, other than he sells a lot of shirts and he's a big media star. And we've seen with Lingard, that's not the way to do it. So for me, I think Pogba should go in the summer, and I think he will go in the summer. I don't know what you think, Paul.
I think he will go in the summer, and I think it's his own ambitions that will drive him away. I think he wants trophies. He's come to Manchester United, and he was probably promised a team being built around him with world-class players, and I don't think he's quite got that. What we've expected him to do is to drag a under-par team and squad to the title or to top 4. There's a lot of pressure to put on him. I'm not defending him because he hasn't been the player we bought. We expected him to be, should I say. But if he goes, can we blame him? I can't personally, because he's got his own ambitions as a player. When you finish your career, you look at the trophies you've won. He's done very well at Juventus. He came back by choice to Manchester United to win more trophies. He's won a couple, but I'm sure he wanted more. So if he goes to Real Madrid to win the Champions League and the Spanish title, or if he goes back to Juventus to win more trophies, then I can't blame the guy. But when he does go, if anybody thinks we're going to be a better team without him, I personally think they're wrong, and we're going to need to invest his money very wisely to reinforce the squad and hope the Glazers don't pocket half of it, or use it for the Bruno deal. We don't even know if that's already sort of allocated into the finances, and I worry that it is. So I think Pogba will go, and I wish him all the best if he does.
Jordan, I agree. I've got no issue with Pogba. I just think it's the right time for a divorce. Jordan Such says, we have to start Bruno tomorrow. You have to do what the opposition least want you to do, and I'm pretty certain that Wolves would be over the moon if they looked at our team sheet tomorrow and saw no Bruno. I agree with that. I think if we don't start Bruno tomorrow, we weaken our chances of getting 3 points. And look, statistically looking at our games against Wolves, they're always really tight. I think we will win tomorrow, but we're going to have to go with a strong team. Harris Korkovic, welcome to the channel, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. And Kevin Barrett says, we're building something, but our architect lost his blueprints and our project manager mismanaged the money. Interesting there. I mean, look, let's just talk about the transfer window for a moment, because ultimately,
good shout.
We get... if Pogba's sold, we must sign Van der Beek and Fabian, says MUFC for life. Apparently, we really do. We do like Van der Beek, but I don't think we think he's going to go to Real Madrid. The transfer window has always been a big thing. Sky make a big deal out of it. I just feel year on year it's getting weaker and weaker. I mean, I look at the deals to go through on the January transfer window day. Ighalo to United, which is a loan deal, which some United fans were shocked about. Baston to Villa, never heard of him. Nathan Ferguson to Palace. Jared Bowen to West Ham. And Ryan Bennett on loan to Leicester from Wolves. I mean, what's happening? What do you think's happening, Dan, with the transfer window? Spurs needed a striker. They haven't bothered with it. Chelsea needed players. They've got nobody. Arsenal, they've done a little bit. I mean, these are clubs that actually, I would say as a United fan, if you spend 50 million, you might get it back in May. But nobody wants to spend any money, but they've never had so much revenue. I just think that these transfer window, and I thought the summer transfer window last year, Man City didn't really do anything. Liverpool spent nothing. It was quite a bit. Spurs spent a bit. Arsenal spent a bit. Chelsea obviously couldn't spend anything. And these last few transfer windows have been quite dull. Not just at United, but across the Premier League in general. And yet there's so much money in it. What do you think it's all about?
I think it's a combination of things. I think one is teams, don't have to sell. I think the second thing is that teams necessarily don't want to spend. And the third thing is, and probably most important, is there's way much more player power now than there ever was before. Now instead of players, going someplace for 6 months and then signing a new contract somewhere else in the summer, that's happening less and less. Players are letting their contracts run down so they could get the better signing on fees, which really wasn't the case even 5 years ago. So I think you put all those things together, and that's the reason why there's been slower transfers in terms of the way they developed. Everything now is social media driven, image rights, all these things are very important. So I think that has a lot to do with what you're seeing now. So I think it's going to continue that way.
Prince Mathathalin says, how many games is Matic suspended for? It's only tomorrow. It was just 2 yellow cards, wasn't it? So it's a one match thing. Haris Kukovic, I really enjoy watching the United stand. I've just joined. What do you guys think about the report of getting Henrique sporting director? Reports in L'Equipe. Please do subscribe, everyone. We're trying to get up to 652,000 subscribers tonight. We're not that far off. So bottom right hand corner to subscribe. And if you have subscribed, please share it. New people come in, subscribe, etc. I'm going to go back to Dan on that, and then Paul, and say nothing. Do either of you know anything about this guy, and what do you think about him?
Who are we talking about?
This director of football we've been linked to, who was at PSG, Alberto Enriquez, is it?
Oh, I've just heard nothing except for he's an absolute train wreck.
Yeah.
He's kind of like another version of Woodward. He pisses a lot of players off. He's actually more involved in terms of the player side of things than he is the commercial. So that is a plus, but he doesn't rub players the right way. He gets into a lot of personal altercations with them. He makes kind of funny signings. He signed Lasagna Diarra when he's had the chance to sign other players when he was at the end of his road. So I think this guy would just be an absolute mess. But again, I think it has to do with he'll be a yes man for the owners. He'll kind of come in, do what they want, spend what they say he can spend. And to be fair, I think that if he's the type of person that people are saying he is, and he gets into not physical, but verbal altercations with players, then I think he'd be worse than Woodward. I read a couple stories about him getting into a big verbal thing with Lucas Moura, and that's what prompted him to get sold, have a hand in getting sold. So he'd be worse. To be honest with you, he'd be worse than Woodward, because at least Woodward stays out of the player side of things. He doesn't get involved with players. If you got a director of football pissing players off, guys are going to leave left, right, and center. So.
Yeah, do you know anything about him, Paul, at all? Welcome to Caleb Mulani, latest member of the United Stand Members Club.
What I heard was that he's actually more known for getting deals selling players than he is buying players. Now, that doesn't sound good for us, but it does sound good for Ed Woodward and the Glazers, because, we've always had problems. When was the last time we made money on a player? I mean, literally, in the last 5 years, how many players have we made money on? So I worry that he's brought in to help generate cash through players rather than help us get better players for the club.
Yeah. It doesn't look any good to me.
You wouldn't put it past the Glazers to get someone in for that, would you?
No, it doesn't look good to me, I've got to be honest. And I do think we do need a director of football. It pains me how we can only do one deal at a time. And I know most clubs only need to do one deal at a time, but when you're trying to catch up with people, it's very, very difficult. A lot of people saying that the Ighalo deal is done, according to Sky. And I've got Sky on. I'm not getting any breaking news on there that it is. Manchester United agree deal with Shanghai Shenhua to sign Odion Ighalo on initial 6-month loan, which I don't think is anything new. I think we've known that for quite a while now. So yeah, it's going to happen, isn't it?
It could be one of these ones where the paperwork's put in, but the actual deal doesn't get done till the morning, because it's been known before.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think the odds would have been to? I'm sorry, Mark. What do you think the odds would have been to get Bruno Fernandes and Odion Ighalo on January 1st?
I know. I would have been quite surprised to get Bruno. To be honest, I mean, there is a clip of me on the 5th of January where I said, if Ollie goes and signs Bruno Fernandes, I'll back him for 2 years, because I had no idea he would go and do it. I just, it's just a player I wanted to get, which I thought, we weren't going to go back in for. But how can people not see how much we need Ighalo in
Here's
our
a question for you.
situation? We need a body in there until Rash is fit. He suits our style, says James R. Yeah, go on then, Paul.
Who do you think is going to score first, Bruno or Ighalo?
Well, Bruno's
you
got
don't know really, do you? I mean,
Bruno's
'cause
got a shot
it
tomorrow,
depends
hasn't
how
he?
much game time Ighalo gets, but he has got. Well, we hope so. We hope he's got 90 minutes tomorrow. But I'd love it if he got a goal and an assist tomorrow. He really needs to hit the ground running and get some confidence, and also get the confidence from the other players. I really think he could be a game changer. But again, I thought this about Alexis Sanchez as well. So we'll see.
Ad says, I hope they're not using a fax machine. And Stephen Graham says, on the excitement of Bruno, can you ask my 7-year-old daughter, Sadie Graham, to watch more United with me, please? I love your content, brother. 7-year-old Sadie Graham shouldn't be up at 20 past 10. But Sadie Graham, watch more of United with your dad and learn. The good times will come back, hopefully. The thing is, though, you know, who do you think is going to score first, Dan? I was just thinking, what's our easiest game we've got coming up? Not because Ighalo or Bruno are not going to score, but we don't create many chances. But it just got me thinking. The reason Ighalo is so important on the final day, or any player is so important on the final day, is because we are going to have this period after the Wolves game where we've got 2 weeks off, but then it's like Chelsea, midweek Genk, then I think it's Watford, then it's midweek Genk, then it's somebody else, then it's midweek Derby in the Cup, then it's someone else, then it's midweek Europa. It's going to be pretty much from the middle of February to the end of May, if we do well, midweek weekend every bloody time, and we will pick up injuries.
Right. Yeah. No. I know. I do think that that Bruno's probably got the best chance to score first, just because he'll be in the squad tomorrow. We don't even know exactly when Ighalo is going to be in the squad, so I'd say probably him just for that reason alone. I think if they were both starting at the same time in terms of getting in the matchday squad and stuff, I'd probably put the money on Ighalo, because I think he's going to have more chances to score with Bruno playing in behind him. But Fabrizio Romano just tweeted Mark. I don't know if you want to check that out.
Okay, I will take a look at that now.
The longer this night goes on, whether it's just because I'm getting tired and delirious or what, I don't know. But I'm getting more and more positive about this Ighalo move. You know, in terms of how many goals he possibly could get. Because
Paul, I'm really talking him up for you.
Yeah, you are, dude. You're doing a really good job, because you're convincing me that he's going to get double figures. I swear to God, I am sold. I am over the moon already. I really think he's going to get goals. I really think I need some sleep.
Well, Romano,
it's funny.
Get more excited here. Romano, sorry to interrupt, Dan. Romano says, total agreement with Shanghai for a loan with a buy option. He'll fly to UK during the weekend. So it's a loan to buy, which I think's a bit scary. But it is an option to buy. Tottenham called in, but the player decided United.
He's got the here we go.
Yeah, he said here we go.
Well, it says option to buy, right? It's not obligation to buy.
Yeah.
Well, there still is an option window. They got to shut that right away. But Mark and Paul, just questions for both of you. I was actually speaking with Alan, our friend over in Kazakhstan, who's come on the show before. He says that probably getting Ighalo, you probably won't have to play 5 defenders at the back. What do you think of that?
We won't have to. Or we will.
Yeah, won't have to. Won't have to.
Yeah, well, to me, that's a big positive.
So maybe even getting in a player like that, even bereft of the talent that he might be, the formation might suit our other players better. So sometimes, it's addition by subtraction. So like we were saying, if there's a body in there to help us play a certain way or to give us another option, then again, no risk. So good point by Alan. Yeah.
Yeah, I desperately do not want to go back to that 3. I don't want to stick with this 3 centre-back thing. I think we'll be in a lot of trouble. Because the thing is, yeah, we think we might get top 4, but I was talking about it on the preview last night. We're only 4 points off 14th. It's very bunched up behind us.
It's scary stuff, really, isn't it? If we have a bad run of form, then we could slip down into the bottom half of the table quite easily. But with Ighalo banging in goals, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, well,
Ornstein saying no option to buy.
Everybody who's just tuning in.
That's good. We only want him for 6 months.
If you are just tuning in,
there's no option.
It is breaking news now. It's been breaking for the last. We've been talking about it for the last 2 hours. But Ighalo from China. I forget the name of the team. Why would I know it? I don't watch the league. He's 30 years of age and he's coming to Manchester United on loan for with an option to buy if we want to. But he will be coming in to Manchester United. He's a Manchester United fan. He used to play for Watford. Spent the last 3 or 4 years in China, earning 300 grand a week. He's coming to United on 100 grand a week. He'll still get the extra 200. Between £2 and £4 million it's costing us. That's the deal United have done. They have got a striker in, and to be honest, I'm not happy about what United have done because I think it's poor planning to have to do this. But I'd rather have Ighalo than nobody. And to be honest, I think we've all been a bit sceptical about it. We've looked at his Who Scored page, which is the most banterish thing I've ever seen in my life, but it can't be that bad. I'm like you, Paul. I'm starting to get a little bit excited about it. I think you look at his AFCON stats. He's a leader, which I think the fact that he's a leader will actually be not better than what he's on the pitch, but I think it'll be very important to have a player with experience because he will come in and obviously he's going to be in awe of United because it's the biggest club he's ever played for, but he ain't going to be in awe of the league. He's played in the league before. He's played against United before, so. I'm excited to see what he can do. I mean, he might spend a lot of his time on the bench, but I don't think he will. I think we've got so many games, he will be involved.
I think we're going to be a laughingstock for a little while until he smashes his first goal in his first game, and then everybody's going to be laughing on the other side of their face. But I mean, we're a banter club. We are a banter club, as if we're scratching around for Ighalo on a £4 million fee for 100 grand a week. At the last day of the January window. It's a joke. But now he's here, I'll back him all the way, and I generally think he's going to get double-figure goals.
Sources are telling me the mega store's already sold out of the kit. The Ighalo kit's flying off the shelves, mate. It's just they're already it's empty. The store's empty.
First Nigerian player ever.
Ighalo kit's flying off the shelves.
We nearly got Mikel.
Yeah.
We did nearly get Obi Mikel once, didn't we? And then that was weird what happened with him. But first Nigerian player. Stephen Graham says she's asleep. Was going to show her a shout out in the morning. No worries. I'm only bantering you. And we are a joke of a club, says Red Baron. Look, I think if you've been watching the stream for the last 2 hours, you would have gone through the process that me and Paul have been through. And I think Dan's helped it by coming on with his positivity. We were taking the mickey out of it about 9 o'clock. But as time's gone by, we've become more into the deal, I think. I mean, look, Manchester, Erling Haaland, Timo Werner, these are the players we should be signing, 100%. And this reflects badly on the club. But I think we're in this situation whereby if we were sat here now and we weren't signing anybody, we'd probably be moaning more than we are about Ighalo or Slimani or whoever it was we were going to get. We needed somebody. We've given ourselves a chance of getting your Champions League football in May. I don't think it's a great chance, but I think we've given ourselves a chance. I think if we brought nobody in, we had no chance because Rashford's not back till April. And Martial, as Dan was saying, I think Martial gets injured at some point in the next 2 months. So who are you going to play? So we had to get somebody in. I think the problem is that the club just cannot do more than one deal at once. And we've left it ridiculously late to do. We've left it to the last day, lads, haven't we? Really, you can't play against Wolves because he won't even be in the country, Leaf Hunter. I don't think.
Won't be playing against Wolves. But I was just gonna say there. I don't know if you've checked, Mark, but apparently David Ornstein's tweeted that there is no option to buy.
Okay.
So it's an Ornstein versus Fabrizio Romano duel. And someone's lying. So I'll tell you what, if it is just 6 months with no option to buy, I'm going to be getting the Ighalo kit tomorrow.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm who's Team Ornstein and who's Team Romano, because Romano says that there is an option to buy and Ornstein says there isn't. I'm more comfortable if there isn't, to be honest. So I'm Team Ornstein.
I think Ornstein gets more. I think he doesn't really tweet out until he's 100% sure. I know Romano sometimes jumps the gun a little bit. He's done it even this transfer window with a few things. I know he was saying the Piontek deal was done like 3 days before it was done, and then it wasn't getting done, and then it was back on. So I'd probably go with Ornstein on this one, not just for my own personal Kane, but because he's more informed on the Premier League and things like that. So
Sky Sports have said option to buy, but they may be going with Romano, who's Sky Italy, isn't he? So
Yeah, Romano's put a video out as well, just to trump Ornstein. He's put a 14-second clip up to say Ighalo to Manchester United with an option to buy. So I know it doesn't mean independent.
That's a slam. That's a slam dunk on Ornstein's face.
I know, bro. He's up the game, man.
I thought it was going to be a video of Ighalo scoring a hat trick.
Yeah. I wonder if he ever has. He's going to get one for United. No one scored a hat trick for United for how long? Forever.
I know that the last person was.
Well, actually, Simon
in
Stone. We've got a war going on now. We've got a journalist war going on now because Ornstein says no option to buy. Romano's adamant there is an option to buy. Couple of Sky are saying option to buy. Simon Stone has said done deal, loan to the end of season. Brackets no option to buy. So I'm hoping that there is no option to buy, but that's now becoming the story on Twitter. Whether there's an option to buy, I don't see it. Ultimately, I don't see how you buy a player that's got 18 months left on his contract in the summer and he's on 300 grand a week. We're never gonna pay Ighalo 300 grand a week, so it's irrelevant.
I've literally just got a message on my phone from BBC Sports saying Manchester United signed former Watford striker Ighalo. It's done, man. I mean, this is it. It's happening. This is crazy. It's absolutely mental. But
get your number 7 shirts out. Get your number 7.
Get your number 7 shirt.
I wonder what shirt number he's going to wear. Printed. Actually, probably wearing number 11.
Welcome aboard. Number 7. Oh God, if we give him the number 7.
But you know, Ighalo officially coming to Manchester United on loan. Then it's not a signing; it's a loan deal for 6 months. I think nobody would have predicted it. I do think the bigger picture thing is, what are we up to? You know, where does this... If you go back to what Woodward said in October, we've made mistakes in the past, but we've got a clear strategy for the future now, and 3 months later he's signing a 30-year-old from China. I don't think that's a clear strategy. You've got Ollie saying we're building for the future. We want players to come in who are going to, want to make a step up and be part of our future. I don't think Ighalo's that. So this is the thing when you give sound bites, though, isn't it? And you give these sound bites when you're not performing well to buy yourself more time. And then you end up having to do something like this that totally goes against your sound bites. And look, I want Ighalo to do well. I really do. I want us to get Champions League football. I'm over the moon with Bruno Fernandes. So, but I do also, I see both sides. I see the optimism and hope. And I also see the people who are just embarrassed and saying, what are we doing as a football club? We've just spent £2 to £4 million on a loan deal for 4 months, but we've just spent the last month bargaining over 4 million for Bruno Fernandes, and we could have missed out on it. It's, the mixed messages by the club, but ultimately it's what we're going to do on the pitch. And Kizali Chakrabarti says aerial threat in the penalty box, long balls too. Apparently he's not actually that good in the air. Statistically, he's not that good. Mahesh Botto, I hope we play Bruno tomorrow. I also hope we go back to 4-4-1-1. Where would you play him in that formation? And if you were a United manager, would you even bother with that position? I'd go 4-2-3-1 at the moment. It's what Ollie plays. I just don't want to see 3 at the back. Maninder Singh says sell Pogba 150 million, buy Ndidi and Mason with that money. Well, I don't think Leicester would do that, Maninder. And apparently Spurs tried to buy him, so he must be good. Let's go, Ighalo. I trust Spurs recruitment department more than I trust United. I'm positive now, says Shaveen. And Jimmy Marseille says, do you think Pogba will stay if we make Champions League and make other signings during the summer? And do you think we will go back to 4-3-3 when Pogba comes back? I can answer that very, very quickly. Dan thinks it's a possibility. I don't, and Paul doesn't either. And I'm getting my Ighalo number 7 jersey tomorrow, says Leaf Hunter. You see, Woodward will be rubbing his hands. He's bought another player where people are going to buy the shirts. I tell you what, cynic in me, first ever Nigerian player. There's a lot of people who live in Nigeria. There's a lot of shirts that are about to be sold in Nigeria.
Big time.
It's true, Mark.
Yeah.
Big time.
That would have crossed their minds 100%. I mean, that's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Last minute of the transfer window, and they're rubbing their hands thinking they're going to make loads of cash. You couldn't make it up.
Well, also too, this is from Mark M. Paul. So again, I've got another message here from Alan, and he told me that Ole's agent is actually a business partner with Ighalo's agent, And Josh King has the same agent as both of them, has the same agent as Ole. Jim Solbacken's his name. Jim Solbacken's a very good friend of Erling Haaland's father. So I'm starting to see all the connections and the lack of recruitment. I'm telling you, this is an Ole signing, big time. That's what I think. And Alan also said there's going to be a good cut of that fee going to Ole's friend. So friends helping friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, massive shirt sales for Adidas. Keep them happy. Let's get behind Ighalo. I'll be surprised if he gets more than 5 goals. Look at his highlights from China. Not good enough at all, says Dylan Sups. Lee Galdar,
Well, I don't think he is.
this is a disgrace. Take a step back here, Mark. Ighalo at Manchester United. Seriously, I can't believe it. Oh, no, I get that. I do get that. I do get that. I totally get that. But I also get the fact that we had 6 hours to go in this transfer window and we didn't have a striker. And if you're asking me if I want nothing or something, you've got to take something. But I get the bigger picture. It is a joke. I think this Nigerian is as good at football as Eddie Murphy's character from Coming to America, says Zayn Miesi. Yeah, but he might have been quite good at football. He was a classic character. He might have been very good at football, Zayn. So you don't know what you're talking about. You're just drinking your bitter tea again, aren't you? Because Arsenal have done nothing. And we'll finish above Arsenal, and that's all that matters in relation to you, Zayn. Bruno and Ighalo actually gives me hope. Lingard and Pereira is just death, really. And that's exactly what you were talking about, Dan, isn't it? The fact that, 2 players coming in means 2 spots on the bench or in the first team, which means 2 players have got to move out.
Exactly. And also, too, it's not like we've been giving the youngsters a chance. People in the comments, I've seen people saying, why do we need to bring in Ighalo? We'll just give Largy Ramazani a chance. And, you're asking for a guy to come in who hasn't even played a lick of senior football yet. It's just, listen, as much as people don't like the Ighalo signing, they say it's embarrassing. We've been embarrassing for 6 years. So there's only one way to go, and that's up. Like somebody said in the comments also, this is our reset button. Odie and Ighalo is our reset button. That's about as low as you could go. And in a way, they're right. You really can't get much worse than that in terms of a name. So let's just hold on, enjoy the ride, and get top 4.
I tell you what, he's a good signing for Sheffield United, isn't he? Sanderberg.
It's good for our training sessions as well. I know, this is I'm clutching at straws here, Mark, but in our training sessions, he's a beast. He's a strong fella. He's going to knock about a defence and get him up to scratch for coming up against those sort of players. So, I think I'm overly positive about it at the moment. I might wake up tomorrow feeling a little bit different, but it's something different. There's a lot to cling on to that is positive. When I read Twitter, I probably think differently, but at the moment, I'm buzzing. I can't deny it.
Roy Amanta says we've got a lot of Nigerians watching too, and I'm one of them. Exactly, we're a global channel, and it's a decent signing for Manchester United. So I say that with total conviction, and I don't know why people wouldn't believe me. I truly believe it's a great signing. I don't really. I just think we needed to get somebody in, and we'll see what happens with it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, you could only get what you get, and because of the mess that we're in. I mean, I remember, didn't Real Madrid in 2011 they got in Adebayor? So
yes.
So these things happen, man. These things happen. Players get hurt. It's short-sighted from the board. It's short-sighted from the manager. But these things happen. You need to adjust. And again, the same line. Something's better than nothing. But I think this something is more than. Just he's not just some player off the street. For everybody getting on this guy's back, and I'm not a fan of his or anything like that. You know me, Mark and Paul. I could be the most negative person in here, but do you know how like people are saying Ighalo sucks and he's past it, whatever else. Do you know how good he has to be to still suck, to be playing professional football and be the top scorer at AFCON? So I don't think it's as bad as we're all making it out to be. So, and again, I prefer it over Josh King.
James Ducker says that assuming no problems with his flight, as there was on Thursday, Ighalo is due to fly from China tomorrow. Medical once he's in Manchester. Wolves match tomorrow. Last before winter break in Chelsea on the February 17th. Feeling his break will give Ighalo some time to bed in. So he actually is in China. So that's rather interesting, isn't it?
At that.
Yeah.
Might fail the medical.
Well, I presume
Oh, Jesus,
you
don't.
you can fly in
I'm
from.
I'm not even trying to be. I'm not even trying to be funny.
No, I know.
What's going on over there? I mean,
A true story.
I didn't think you could
jeez.
fly in anyway.
Well, they're
Got- it's got that-
quarantining everybody else coming in, so
got that private jet though.
Yeah,
yeah,
They don't
Yeah.
follow the same rules.
money
you know?
talks.
true. But if there's one word to sum up this signing, I think for me it would be necessary. That's it. Necessary.
Absolutely, means to an end.
Yeah. It was required. And I think anybody was required. And we have got anybody. We just hope he's going to be somebody.
Exactly.
Sounds very poetic.
Yeah, I know. It came off well, finally.
That was
Only
nice.
took me 8 hours.
Well said.
But it's a good. Anybody was required. We needed to bring somebody into Manchester United, and anybody was required. So you're right. And I think tomorrow is a day. That's where it all starts. Tomorrow, really. The transfer window closes in 18 minutes. It's done for United now. We've done the business we're going to do, and it's time to go to work tomorrow. We've got Bruno Fernandes in. Ighalo comes in after the break. I think it's so important that we get 3 points tomorrow, because if we don't, then it sort of makes it any optimism we've got will be deflated, because Wolves are actually on the same points as us. They're on 34 points as well. So we've got to get off to a good start tomorrow. Hopefully the signing of Bruno, Ighalo coming in will give the team a lift, because normally signings can be seen as a bad thing, but I think that team knows it needs signings, and it needs bodies in there. A lot of tired players, a lot of players being overplayed. So it's a big opportunity for United tomorrow, and we need to see a response. And just on Ighalo and Bruno as well, lads, and everybody in the live comments. Let me just read some super chats, because they are stacking up a bit. Kieran Burden says he's a squad player. We're short up front. What if Martial got injured? Everyone needs to calm down and realise Ollie has to build a team. Rashford injured. Good and bad points, I would say there. Who cares if we look like bad? Image doesn't matter when we need to win. Worry about image when we're a player not a mile away from winning the Premier League and the Champions League. Jordan Such, if you have a whole transfer window to buy a striker and end up getting Ighalo on the last day till the end of the season, I don't think that is going to change Pogba's mind about leaving. That's a good point. We have had all window and we've took till the last end. Mark, the best Nigerian ever was the legend Kanu, says Zain Miasi. Shfi Mello says, hey Mark, haven't had a chance to watch anything today, so I have no idea what's happening. Any chance you could recap deadline day? And Mid A says, Mark, Ighalo can finish. He may not be world class, we all want. He got us Nigerian to the semi-finals and won the Golden Boot at the last Nations Cup. Well, before I come back to the lads, let me just tell you then, as a recap, at least a player he is like Lukaku, says Ashmal Cosman. So we came on air at about 3 o'clock. We started off the day with news of Josh King potentially coming to Manchester United. That was sort of finished off at about 3:30. Lots of people said that's not on anymore. And then early evening we started to hear about, I don't think anybody else really came into the equation. There was rumours of Pukki, there was rumours of Mertens for about half an hour. And then it started to be all about Ighalo, and it's just developed through the evening until about 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was looking nailed on, and now it is official that Ighalo will be coming to Manchester United on a loan till the end of the season. Still up in the air as to whether it's a loan to buy or not. Bit of a battle between journalists about that. £100,000 a week. He gets £300,000 a week in China, and should be available for the Chelsea game on the 17th. And obviously we know Ighalo from the Watford days 3 or 4 years ago. He's been in China for the last 3 or 4 years, but as Dan said, he's done well for Nigeria. He's considered to be a bit of an icon in Nigeria. So, leader, Manchester United fan, and a body, anybody, as Paul would said, coming in. So it will be interesting to see how things go. I just want to talk about Ollie, Dan. What chance do you think Ollie will be in the job in August based on these 2 signings? And what do you think needs to be achieved?
I think. I genuinely think that he won't be here next year, because I still think they're going to have a hard time getting top 4, and I think that's the only way he's going to keep his job if he gets top 4. I mean, obviously, I should just say in the Champions League, because if they go the backdoor route and they got in through the Europa League, then so be it. But I just don't see us doing either. So I think that in terms of that, getting into the top 4, getting Champions League football. I think that's his criteria, and I just don't think he's going to get it. And we've gotten 2 players, one that's a loan for 6 months and one that any manager would like, in addition to Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, that anybody would like. So the Pochettino replacement's kind of just waiting in the wings. That's how I feel about it.
Yud says, if Poole lost Mane and Salah, similar to Rashford and Pogba in terms of importance, they would be average. No star striker wants to sit on the bench. Poole bought Origi, who would come to United with no Champions League, says Yud. And Jordan Such, we've read that. And Zamiasi, Kanu's the greatest African player ever. Did he used to play for Arsenal by any chance, Zane? And Paul, what are you thinking about Ollie over the next few months? Do you think do you think he can get top 4? Do you think these players will help him do that? I mean, also, do you think he's got to make a choice? Do you think we can go for top 4 and the Premier and the Europa League, or do you think Ollie will be switched on enough to go, I've got to prioritise one over the other? He doesn't seem to be that sort of manager. When you look at the Carabao Cup, played Pogba, got him injured. FA Cup brings Rashford on, gets him injured. He doesn't seem to be a manager that really prioritises anything. He prioritises everything.
Yeah, I think he sees that as the Man United way. You know, you have to win a trophy at Manchester United. He's very much got the 90s and 2000s mentality with a 2020 team which hasn't quite got the quality. But I think as of last year as well, we've been given a chance now to get top 4. We're not out of it, and it's January, and we've got 2 brand new players. One of them is world class. Now, at the beginning of the season, I didn't think top 4 was necessarily going to be Ollie's level, but now we are where we are with what he's got. I think he has to get top 4 to keep his job, and even more so because Pochettino's waiting in the wings to take it, and I think he's already been spoken to by Manchester United. If Poch wasn't there, I'd say Ollie's got a better chance, but everything is there for Ollie to leave. And it can be lined up so easy. So I think if he doesn't get top 4, he's out of it. And I don't think he's going to get top 4 even with the 2 new players because of what I've seen so far. And last season we had the same opportunity. Remember, Mark? Last season everybody was rubbish. We were just rubbisher, even though that's not a word. So it's going to be interesting. And I think it all depends on these 2 new players. I really do, because of our injuries. So we'll see.
Just on the option to buy or no option to buy argument, Romano's come out with a little bit more. He says, there is no option to buy at the moment because they didn't have time to enter it, but it's been unofficially agreed. There was risk of time running out when writing his contract. United and Shanghai will keep in contact and will speak about the buy option next week. I don't know why United would... why United would want to revisit that, but we'll see. I don't get why United would want a 31-year-old in the summer who's on 300 grand a week. I don't get that. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. An interesting comment from somebody on Twitter, Sam Pilger says, with the signings of Fernandes and Ighalo, United do have a considerably stronger attack than when the transfer window opened a month ago. I wouldn't say considerably. Because at the start of the month Rashford was fit and at the end of the month he's not. So I'd say we're stronger for Bruno. I don't think we're stronger for Ighalo. I mean, we came into the month with Rashford, so yeah, but we are stronger. And you know, a lot, I've got to say, in relation to the transfer window itself, a lot of people were saying that they didn't expect us to sign anybody. So, you know, that's a little bit better. There's no medical because it's a loan deal, says Stephen Azed. I don't know whether that's true or not. James Cooper said there is no option to buy for Ighalo. Says Connor Head. Will you still like Bruno if he wears...
There is no medical.
Yeah, there is no medical, says Paul. Will you still like Bruno if he wears pink boots? He was wearing them for Sporting on Monday. Aidan G says, out of all the washed-up strikers we choose Ighalo, fuck me dead. And Jimmy Marcy says, people don't realise Champions League is the priority. It's only a 6-month deal. The summer transfer window will decide our future and depth was needed, which I sort of agree with. As for Bruno Fernandes in pink boots, he can wear bloody pink pants. He can wear pink whatever. I don't care. Bruno's about to make pink boots the ting again. You know, pink boots were put in the mud by Phil Jones. Bruno's about to make them the in thing. Lots of men are going to be wearing pink boots because of Bruno Fernandes. In fact, we've got a pink boots emoji, so that can be Bruno's if he dares wear them. Phil's probably took him aside and said, "Don't wear pink boots." There's this knobhead YouTuber who'll just bury you, but no, that knobhead YouTuber loves Bruno Fernandes. So yes, what else have we got in the live comments? Jay's Malice says, my worry with Bruno is that if we don't perform well in the coming games, he would be considered a flop and the pressure will be doubled on him. And Stephen Graham, welcome, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. I don't think there's any pressure on Bruno, is there? Seriously, we're intelligent not to call that.
Being a £68 million signing for Manchester United, who all expect him to drag us out of the mire and into Champions League football. I think there might be a little bit of pressure on him, but I think he'll handle it well.
But I don't look. I put pressure on him because I know what sort of player he is, and I don't think he will. I think he will hit the ground running. I don't think he needs time to adjust. But as Gary Neville said, I mean, if you look at the January transfer signings over the years, Mata was one, Sanchez was one, Evra was one, Vidic was one. None of them hit the ground running, and some of them were from the Premier League. So there is. If anybody's expecting anything from Bruno, you should expect him to be adjusting until May, and then next season we'll start to see him. I don't think we will. I think I really am confident we're going to see from day one a player and go, wow. But actually, he shouldn't have that pressure on him at all. It's totally wrong. I don't know what you think, Dan.
To be honest with you, I'm kind of getting the vibe from him that I just don't think he really cares too much about that. Now, I mean, I'm sure it weighs on everybody, but he just seems like the type of player that he just lets his game do the talking. He just doesn't seem like that type of ego. He doesn't seem like those things really bother him. I mean, he was playing at a pretty high level 2 years ago, and then he's only just been recently included in the Portugal squad from the Euros. So I think that he's handled it really well. And I remember he wasn't really starting for Portugal at first either because they still had William Carvalho playing in the midfield. I think he's just kind of one of these guys that, and I do think it's a foreign player's mentality more than anything. And I think that him not being from the Premier League is a blessing in disguise because I think that's kind of just going to let him get on with his football. I think guys like Sanchez, they've heard it in the media before about what the press can do to you, and I just don't think he's that type of player. At least that's just the way he comes across. So I hope I'm right in that aspect about Bruno. I just think he's just going to let his play do the talking and crack on with it. He might have some bad games, but I think like we've all said, he's much like a Herrera type of player. He's not going to let that bother him. He's just going to bring it every day to the training ground, every day to the games, and give it everything he's got. 110%.
I agree. I think the thing with Bruno Fernandes that a lot of people are going to see very, very quickly is that I think in under Herrera, maybe he was a bit limited in some of his abilities, but he was a fan favourite because of his desire and work effort. And I think one thing we've seen over the United side, and I'm sure you'd agree on this, Paul, and have comment on it, is Scott McTominay. I'm still not convinced about how good Scott McTominay is. I don't know whether he's top 4 Premier League winner, mid-table, but what stands out about McTominay is he goes through brick walls. He endears himself to the fans, and that's really sad because we used to have a team that used to do that for 20 years. And then we used to praise them for their ability and not their fight ability. But in this United team, if you wear your heart on your sleeve and you fight for it, you become a fan favourite because we don't have many people doing it. And I think with Bruno Fernandes, that will be something that endears him straight away because he just never stops running. He never stops pressing. And yeah, maybe he will take a bit of time to adjust to, creativity and goals, but he won't take him any time to press people. And he plays for Portugal, so it's not, there is an adjustment in there, but I don't think I can't see. I think United fans will be very patient with this player because they'll be attracted to him very, very quickly in relation to how his attitude is on the pitch.
Yeah, Rance calls it passionomics, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I agree. It's difficult to look past the passion sometimes because when a player's that committed, you do love him, but you've got to get passion with technical ability, and application as well. And I don't know if Scott McTominay's quite got that yet, but I won't judge him at all because he's had a very good season so far, and I hope he continues to do so. But yeah, I mean, we haven't got enough quality. I don't even think we've got enough passion. The thing about our new signings come in, and after the first 3 months of impressing, they slip away. And we've seen that a lot. I hope that doesn't happen to Bruno, because when he comes in and he presses everybody and runs around and realises other people aren't doing it, and then starts taking his foot off the gas, then that's the problem. But I don't think he will. I think hopefully he's going to pull everyone up with him rather than regress into the 3 month lull that other players do. Just on a side note, there's reports from Sky Sports and Get French Football News and quite a few places that Newcastle put a €45 million plus 10 million bonuses bid in for that Babakari Soumare.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Lille, yeah, Lille. Oh, really? Because they accepted it, and then the player said no. Why weren't we on top of that? That would have been a fantastic signing, but that's complete. That's another.
No, I remember it was probably in the midst of everything that was being said about Ighalo. To be honest, it's been something that's been floating around for a few hours. Maybe we never spoke about it as a topic, but yeah, definitely. I remember it being spoken about, and it is interesting because Sky. I mean, yeah, maybe that's something we reflect on in time to come. But Sky were saying a couple of weeks ago that he will leave Lille before the end of the transfer window, and that Manchester United and Chelsea were the teams that were looking at him. So it will be interesting to see with that, because that's a reasonable price for him.
35 million quid, Mark. £35 million for a 21-year-old progressive central defensive midfielder with good distribution.
And
like Fabinho.
Well, this is what annoys me about this, because we see these signings, and United, going back to what Dan was saying there about the market being difficult, you look at Ndidi, he's gone to Leicester. You look at Kante, he went to Leicester. We need to be getting these lads before they go to the Leicesters and the Evertons, and then the Leicesters and the Evertons go, yeah, you can have them, but we'll have 80 million out of you. It's the world's such a small place now. United have got so many scouts. We should be on top of these players. Jude Bellingham's another one I was disappointed we didn't get, because I thought that was an opportunity as well to do. A few super chats. Cedrell says Soumare nearly to Newcastle for 45 million. Why we weren't in on that exactly. KCLUHG says, what do you think of Ollie and his agent helping a former Mulder player accused of 6 rape allegations get out of the country to avoid charges? I don't know anything about it, thankfully. And Jane Miassi says, Mark, we're a richer club in the wig, wherein Kroenke is building a $5 billion stadium in the US. What are the Glazers building? Don't know. Anthony Burns says, Ighalo will bring a good option off the bench that we don't have. Physical, has pace. I'm optimistic, and it's only a short-term fix. I mean, that's a point on Ighalo. Do you think, Dan, that he will be a bench option, or do you think we'll see him start in a lot of games?
We've got 45 seconds till the transfer window closes, just to let you know.
Apparently Messi's on his way. I don't think he's going to make it.
Before it slams shut, very dramatic. Get your fingers out of the door because the window's going to shut. Get your fingers out. It's going to slam on you. Yeah, it'd be a sub. I think he'll be a sub. I think he'll start some of the Europa League games. I think he'll start in the FA Cup. Then again, probably put Martial on the left. It's hard to say with Ole. You never know. His tactics, you never know. If they play 3-5-2, he's gonna be starting a lot. So,
yeah, because
interesting.
Yeah, and also, I don't think Mason Greenwood is counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, gone. Windows closed till whenever. I don't even know what they're doing in the summer. They were talking about changing it again, weren't they, to try and keep it in line with the European one, but I don't know whether we've done that in time. So ours will probably open up irrelevantly in the middle of May and close stupidly at the start of August, but we will see. Apparently Ross Westbrook says we tried to get Paul Paolo Wanchap in at the end, but it didn't work. Apparently there's a big queue outside Old Trafford of redundant strikers. Peter Crouch, Emil Heskey. Harry says, hi Mark, do you think Bruno and Ighalo are enough to get us into the top 4, or do we need to prioritise the Europa League? I personally think we need to prioritise one of them. I don't think you can go for both. I think it's very difficult to do that. But going back to what we were saying about Ighalo, I just think that maybe he will play more games than we think, because Dan James isn't playing particularly well and he's a winger. Greenwood I don't think is a starter. So, Ighalo's a very experienced player, isn't he? I think once he's up to speed, I think you might see him start more games than you think. I don't know what you think, Paul.
I think he will start quite a few games. As you said, we've got 2 games a week minimum for possibly, if we go through all the competitions, the duration of the next 4 months, which Martial can't handle alone. We don't know when Rashford's coming back. We don't know when Pogba's coming back. McTominay's, he's still up in the air. So he's going to be a good squad rotational player, and he's going to start his fair share of games. I'd say he'll probably start at least 10 games, possibly more, before the end of the season, depending on how far we go in the cup competitions. But, it's going to be difficult.
RC1 Romero says that we are officially Brexit done. I thought that was midnight. It's only 11 o'clock. Does that mean we have to kick Dan off because he's American? No, you're all right. It's the other lot. It's the Europeans, isn't it? So,
I'm actually about to hop off anyway.
I'm going to do one as well, Mark.
Yeah, no worries, lads. I'm going to be wrapping it up myself anyway. But it's flown by. I don't know how long either of you and me both have been on, but I really appreciate it. So thanks to Dan and Paul. You can have your goodbye.
Absolute pleasure. Ighalo, welcome aboard. Pleasure to have you. And appreciate all your comments. And I'll catch you in a bit.
Cheers, Dan.
And cheers, Dan.
Yeah, all right. Yes, I see you later, Paul, Mark, everybody in the live comments. Thanks again for having me on. Can't wait to do it again. Let's get this top 4. Let's go out there and do it. All right. Take care, fellas. Let's get this win tomorrow.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers,
cool. Cheers, Mark. Take it easy.
I'll stay on for a little bit just to chat to you lot. It's been a brilliant stream. I'd like to say we've been live since 3 o'clock, but we did have a lot of internet problems. I think we've got about 4 or 5 streams, but the last sort of 3 hours it stayed consistently quite well. He should go through isolation for 2 weeks due to the virus, says Stephen Featley. Yeah, Stephen, I saw you say that before. I don't know how that works. I don't know what's going on with that, but I guarantee you there is no way Manchester United, with all the games they've got coming up, are going to let somebody come in with any hint of the coronavirus. So I don't think that will be an issue. I just want to spend a couple of minutes just talking to you lot, because I think that the January transfer window has been probably the busiest January transfer window I've known. Certainly doing the United stand, it's been ridiculous. I think we've been through the mill a bit. I think the Bruno deal was elongated. I think today's been amazing, to go from Josh King to Ighalo to thinking we might not be getting anybody to Ighalo again. It's been really interesting. So I'm happy based on what we've done today, because we had to do something today. I'm unhappy that we've had to wait till the last day of the window to go and get a striker. We should be better planned. I'm very happy with Bruno Fernandes. I'm glad that we've got 2 players in that we didn't have at the start of the window, that just gives us a bit of more squad depth, because we need that. I still think there is an outside chance that we could get top 4. And but on the same hand, I also think Ollie will be gone in the summer. So actually, it could, the uncertainty continues, but it's an excited uncertainty. It's an excited uncertainty, and I think that I just want to thank everybody on the United stand. That's my main priority. Everybody's been involved in it, and especially all of you lot who watch the channel. There's been a lot of content over January, and most of you have been watching it and supporting and getting involved. So I really, really appreciate that. So make sure you subscribe if you're new. I don't know how close we are to 652,000 subscribers. We seem to have been around it for a while. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Bottom right hand corner. We're still 100 away, which I'm sure we'll hit in next to no time. But yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. And Ighalo rejected Spurs. We know that he rejected Spurs. That's not without doubt. And I think the big thing for me is that Bruno Fernandes came in. That to me is something that I'll smile about when I go to bed tonight, and I'll wake up tomorrow with hopefully I'll wake up tomorrow. Hopefully you all wake up tomorrow. But I'll wake up tomorrow with a real happy, I was going to say something else. I'll wake up tomorrow with a real happiness that we've got him done, and that he will be a Manchester United player tomorrow. What I am going to do, because we've been streaming for so long on this, I think it would be unfair for me not to do something that I think is really, really important that we always do on the United stand. So if you just bear with me, and I'll tell you what it's going to be. I think we did win the Premier League transfer window, yeah. I mean, I think Spurs did quite well to get rid of Eriksen and get Bergwijn in. But I do agree with Dan on reflection that the signing of Bruno Fernandes has been great. And I think you know what, the transfer window's shut now. I think we're all probably had enough of this transfer window. You do get to the end of it and you are very tired. It's not going to be that long till we're starting to think about things in the summer. I think you're in a bubble in the transfer window. I've always said that. When the transfer window's on, nothing else seems to matter. But the January one's always a little bit weird because you've had all these games. We've had a busy month, haven't we, as well? The summer transfer window is going to be massive, isn't it? And not in relation to, we're going to do great business. I don't think that. I think it's going to be massive in the sense that we don't know what we're going to do. You've got the Euros. I think the transfer window closes early. I think we're going to be going on tour. And I tell you what, I've heard some rumours that the tour's not America, which is quite interesting. I've heard that the tour we're going to go on isn't America. I don't know where it's going to be, but that would be quite surprising. But then again, why would it be surprising? Because we did do America twice in a row, didn't we? So I don't know. Maybe there is something in that. Who was your man of the match tonight? Me, probably. Yeah, probably me. Right. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do now. I just want to make sure I can do it. Can I do it? Yes, you can. Still live, yeah. Yep. Everything's good. Come on. Yes, it's worked, which is fantastic. Right, what I'm going to do, because I think it's only fair, we've been doing this stream for about 3 hours, and in this stream we've been talking about Ighalo. I'm going to do an Ighalo transfer reaction video. It's only going to be about 10 minutes, but I'm going to go and do it now. I've put the link in the video description. I'm going to end this stream, go straight over to there and do an Ighalo reaction stream because I think he deserves it. So that's what I'm going to do. So if you want to join me for that, it's going to be a quick blast of who he is, what we've done, what I think about it, a nice little recap video, and then we can all get off to bed or whatever we're off to do. So links in the video description. I'm about to go and do that, and I'll see you over there in literally probably about 60 seconds. See you in a minute. Link in the video description.